Yo, yo, what's
What's
up,
up?
Ross, man? What's good? What's good with you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to talk boxing and whatever else that comes up.
That's
Yeah, man.
good, man. That's good to hear. Cause there's a lot of craziness going on with this whole Spence Crawford fight. The whole Spence and Crawford spectacle. It feels like we're like wizards in this boxing street. Cause I recall back in 2018, there was a live that we did some time ago where we talked about basically Terence Crawford was going to do what he was going to do at this point, which is to duck the fight and to stall and to basically put himself in a position where he just didn't want to fight. There
Right.
was a roadblock, and we know the roadblock was Top Rank, and Top Rank basically was his safety net. That was his way to cover himself. That was the way for him to hide. Then
Right.
all of a sudden, he doesn't have this whole safety net no more. He doesn't have this hiding wall, so to speak, that he puts up. But then he turns around and he says, yeah, by the way, I don't think I'm going to be able to make the November 19th fight date. We
Right.
already knew that fight wasn't going to happen when it started approaching the deadline because for a fight to grow into fruition, you need anywhere between 8 to 13 weeks, especially for a fight of this magnitude, the training camp. So it's just interesting that Terence Crawford decided, on a day like this, October 1st, to come out and say, well, the reason why the fight is not happening is because I can't give my family tickets to come to the fight.
What
First
do
and
you
foremost,
mean?
you're not an A side fighter.
Right.
You're not an A side fighter. You're not a fighter that decides and makes the decision on how a fight turns out. So if you're not an A side fighter and you're not a fighter that makes the decision on how the fight turns out, how are you making demands like that? That is clear ducking and stalling tactics. Anyone
Right.
that understands knows that he's looking for any little thing to remove himself from this fight. He saw Ugas's face. He saw that Earl Spence is back to bulldozing niggas fashion, and he wants
Right.
no parts of that. Let's just be honest.
He don't want the smoke that he been crying for. But like I told like I told Ox, I said, man, somebody who covered this um with their own slogan that matched this scenario so well. I said it was he knows the sport because he's the guy who said Terence Crawford is a Chihuahua barking behind the fence, and now
A
when they,
chihuahua barking behind a damn fence.
Uncle Trey, what's up? Now when people think about Chihuahua, they automatically just laugh because Chihuahua is funny, right? But they don't
Mm-hmm.
realize is that Chihuahua and other little small dogs, they do a lot of barking when they feel they're protected. And the fence, like you said, the fence first was Bob Aaron, and now the fence really is he's using Al Heyman, saying Al Heyman is not a good promoter, and he's trying to rob him, right?
But Al Heyman gave him 35%, the biggest payday of his life.
The biggest pain of his life. But
He should get 25 if we're being honest here, because 25 is one belt, 75 is three belt for Earl Spence. He's getting 10% more than what he actually deserves.
what he
So what is
deserves.
he talking about?
And it's not like he's not like he's a box office attraction. It ain't like he's selling.
Exactly.
It ain't like he's selling millions of tickets, and you got to make an exception for him because he's just that dude. He ain't like he put this way. It ain't like he Floyd.
Yep.
Floyd could sell a fight just himself fighting anybody. No, you're Bud Crawford. Nobody even watch your fights. Nobody watch top rank fights anyway, unless they fight
Yep.
somebody from PBC. So you're not Bud Crawford, right? I mean, you are Bud Crawford. You're not Floyd. You got to go in there and you got to be reasonable. He got a 35%, which he should be happy for. They initially offered him 40. He fucked around and lost 5%, trying to negotiate when he should have just took the 40. But anyway,
He
now,
wanted 50%. He wanted 50%. And Al Heyman showed him what a shrewd businessman was and dropped it to 15% and said, look, this is what you get, 35%, and then with no guarantees. You don't mess with somebody that's been around in business for a long time and think that you're just gonna have your way. Al Heyman knows there is no fight outside of the Earl Spence fight that Terence Crawford can have where he's really gonna get an actual payday. And you know what's disrespectful about this whole thing? You have a bunch of dumb YouTube channels and a bunch of dumb boxing fans, i.e. Bud Man fans, and i.e. Omaha Nebraskans. I tell you, these Negroes are missing a few fucking screws. You have these types of individuals thinking that Terence Crawford's barking is a barking that is basically set up for him to get what he wants. His
Right.
barking is just basically for Terence Bud Crawford to do what he's always done. The reason why Al Heyman and PBC and them tolerate that is because they know Spence is gonna wash him, man.
Right.
That's why they want Terence Crawford to do all this talking. Because to be honest with you, Spence is not about talking. And see, Terence Crawford cannot bait Earl Spence like he's able to bait his other opponents. The reason why Terence Crawford gets some kind of advantage is because he's able to get his other opponents to kind of talk back, and it gives him somewhat of a lure or somewhat of an edge to where he could basically get in their heads. He can't do that with Spence because Spence don't talk. Spence does this talking with his fists. So you saw when they had that last back and forth on Twitter, when Terence Crawford was sitting here saying, well, I'm gonna see your ass and I'm gonna beat your ass. And then Spence just shut it up real quick and said, look, shut all that noise up. We'll do that talking in the ring. So
Right.
he can't outmaneuver Spence when it comes to verbal jabs. So he knows that the mental warfare is already lost, and and on that aspect, because if there was anything for him to gain some kind of advantage to try to get Earl Spence's head away from the fact that he just basically bruised up Dennis Ugas and messed this guy's eye up. We're talking about Dennis Ugas was in 40 hours of surgery, and then Dennis Ugas went a whole week before his eyes could pop open. And then Dennis Ugas after that had to go a whole another 9 months before he could really see from his eyes.
Right.
And this is a guy who's really technically a big welterweight. This is a guy who realistically could go up to 154 and fight. Spence has already fought big guys. He's fought Kell Brook and he's fought Dennis Ugas, and he's made them fold like pretzels. And he fought the real Kell Brook, not this Kell Brook where people keep saying, well, Kell Brook fought Triple G, and Kell Brook was basically Triple G's leftovers. That makes no sense. Kell Brook went and fought Triple G because he was ducking Earl Spence. The fight that he was supposed to fight before Triple G was Earl Spence. And the reason why the Earl Spence win is so phenomenal in of itself is because Kell Brook was given a year and a half to recover after the Triple G fight. And here's what's more impressive than that. Now we could say Earl Spence is even more powerful than Triple G. Triple G broke an orbital sock. Earl Spence broke the whole face.
That's right. That's right. And here's another thing. When people not understanding this, that's what Bud Crawford is trying to do with Jermell Charlo. He's trying to use Jermell Charlo as Kell Brook used Triple G.
Yep.
Because think about it, he goes up there, he fights Charlo, he loses. Now he has his beta male fan base that says, well, he dared to be great. He's supposed to lose to Jermell Charlo.
Exactly.
Like, bro, how do you twist a duck into something good?
Yep.
You don't have to dare to be great by fighting somebody out your weight class. Well, you can fight somebody in your weight class and be great.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I never understood that dare to be great shit. Like, that's
And
be honest.
this is what we call the typical Chihuahua ploy, the Chihuahua barking behind the damn fence. Why are you talking to Jermell Charlo, who you know you're not gonna fight? Right. Why are you barking his way when you're turning around and you know you're supposed to fight Earl Spence next? This is what we call typical, and we've coined the term advanced level ducking financially. You're shooting at an arrow when you know damn well you're not going to hit the target because you've never even fought at 154. So why are you even looking at that route when we know damn well you're not going to fight anybody at that weight class, and then you're going to turn around and duck the 147 undisputed fight? This is an indictment on Terence Bud Crawford. This reveals what Earl Spence was saying when everybody was saying Earl Spence was supposedly drunk, and he probably was tipsy as hell when he said Terence Crawford is smoke and mirrors. top ranks promote smoke and mirrors. Bob Arum, top ranked strange, is smoke and mirrors. That's what Terence Bull Crawford just revealed right now. He is smoke and mirrors. If you agree to 35%, what else is the holdup? And don't give me this nonsense because you can't get your family to come to the event or anything like that. That is foolish.
Exactly. He knows. Let me hit him on something real quick. Hey guys, please make sure to donate to motivate me and He Knows the Sports has been under. Of course, y'all don't care about what's been going on in our lives, but we both had our issues and going through shit. But we decided that we need to start going live for y'all. So make sure y'all donate to motivate. The cash apps and the super chat info is right there. But go ahead, get back to what you were saying, bro.
I appreciate you doing that. Anytime it's time to do the interlude to donate, to make folks donate to motivate, I really appreciate that. But anyways, man, this fight right here is telling. Terence Bull Crawford is telling. He's telling the world that he is scared. No.
Right.
He is afraid. No. He is petrified of the brutalizing destruction, the brutalizing devastation of utter destruction. He's a Chihuahua. Earl Spence is a big fish, and he doesn't want to get swallowed, man. Even Roy Jones Jr., you got to look at the way these guys are talking. All of these guys sound with nervous energy. Andre Ward, nervous energy. If you listen to these guys talk, they're telling you out of their mouths. That's why they're hedging their bets. When Roy Jones Jr. said, if this fight goes later on, Earl Spence is a pressure cooker fighter. I wonder where he got these terminologies from. Me and you going to need to start charging people for shit like this. Conversation like this, pieces like this. This is ridiculous, man.
They're thieves. What I'm starting to see is media is locked into YouTube, and bigger YouTube channels, and either some professional media like ESPN and shit is taken from YouTube channels, man.
Yep.
Like I see some of the shit that me and you touch on in our community posts, videos that we make. They were not talking about this type of shit before. They was not. They weren't addressing these type of things. Now they're addressing. Not only are they addressing them, they're starting to take arguments and points of views they never took. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, Errol Spence is a pressure cooking fighter, and he has accumulative power. We motherfuckers been saying that. Where y'all been at, man?
Yep.
Just be honest. Y'all know that Crawford about to get his ass handed to it. Now y'all want to be on the right side of history after you was hating on the man the last 10 years.
You got to understand, Roy Jones said that because Roy Jones wants to hedge his bet so he could say, you see, I did also say that too. I'm picking Crawford. This is why 50-50 is an inferiority complex. 50-50 is the weakest thing you could do as a male. There's a verse in the Bible that says, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. When you are a man, you don't do 50-50. 50-50 reveals that you are weak. It means you can't make a pick. It means you can't lay on it. There's no such thing in life as 50-50. So when you go and you buy groceries, do you buy 50% of a milk or do you buy 100% of a fucking milk? When you go to the grocery store, do you buy 50% of the chicken? Just imagine you getting one of these drumsticks or one of these turkeys, and then you turn around and you say, okay, let me get half of the ground turkey. Let me get 50% of that. There's no such thing. You got to get 100% of it, or you leave it alone altogether. So when people say 50-50, they're hedging their bets. They want to be on one side of the aisle, and then they want to be on the other side of the aisle. It's either you're picking Terence Crawford to win, or you're picking Earl Spence to win. There's no such thing.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know how many times I have to say this because, when people say, well, it's a 50-50 fight, how? What tells you it's a 50-50 fight? And then Clarissa Shields the other day when she said, well, Terence Crawford, he has more skills. In what world does he have more skills? So hold up. Him getting stanky leg by Gamboa is more skills. Him basically getting punched up by Raymundo Beltran is more skills. I mean, you just got to think of the level of opposition that Terence Crawford has fought and the nerve of people to say that this guy has more skills. His competition is something left to be admired. If you want me to be honest with you, fighting a Virgil Ortiz and a Jaron Ennis would be a step up for Terence Crawford.
It will.
This is ridiculous.
To be told, if Terence Crawford was really had pedigree metal like that, then he would have already fought one of those guys to build this fight up.
Yep.
he would have already fought and stopped one of those guys and say, "Man, these young bucks ain't even fucking with me." Blase, blase. This and that. Third, if he just said shit like, "Man, I ain't like Errol Spence. I'll fight the young bucks. See, I whooped such and such." But he know he don't got it in him. He might fuck around and lose against one of them guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he can't do shit like that, man. See, this is the thing I believe a lot of people are missing when it comes to Bud. In the black community, we need to get our shit together. We mistake flashy for valuable.
Yep.
Something looks more flashy that is more valuable.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? A Ferrari looks more flashy than a Rolls Royce. But only one car appreciates with value.
Yep.
No matter what condition it's in, a Rolls Royce is going to appreciate with value. A Ferrari is not. You have to keep a Ferrari in perfect condition. A Rolls Royce, somebody will come out the woodworks and buy a Rolls Royce. A wealthy person will just buy a Rolls Royce off you for the top dollar. But that Ferrari has to be in perfect condition, and most people can't even drive a Ferrari. They don't have those type of driving skills. You know what I'm saying? Some things appreciate. I'm saying all that to say that some things appreciate with value, some don't, and it's not always what's flashy and always what catches your eye. But me personally, because I boxed before, I wish that I would have been taught the type of fundamentals that Errol Spence was taught. Because the way Errol Spence is taught is pure boxing. You don't have to be flashy. Because he was taught the right way to establish the jab, right? No unnecessary movement. To move just as much as you need to move. To apply pressure the correct way. Sound punishment placement. Not shoe shiner. Not just throwing a flurry again out of there. Sound punching placement.
Facts.
When you get hit the right way in the right spot, you don't have to punch with all your might. The thing is, people are not seeing the Deontay Wilder head ripping punch, but that's because Errol Spence fights totally fundamentally sound, so he's not going to put all his might into one punch.
Well, the accumulation of punishment is always the worst way to lose. And here's the thing. When someone is constantly coming at you over and over and over and over again, that's actually more demoralizing than you getting out of there in a sporadic fashion, or you getting out of there like just quick, fast, in a hurry, like UPS. You don't really get a chance to really get broken down. Spence breaks a fighter down because Spence is constantly hitting you with the same level of aggression of a punch. And it's basically torturing you, but torturing you slowly. It's killing you softly, like the Fuji says, man. Yeah. And this is what people don't understand. People like the Keyshawn Davises. Oh, Rip B. Breezy, thank you for the super chat. Everybody in the chat. Y'all better donate to motivate. There you go. So appreciate you for the super chat. Let me go ahead and highlight him for that. But yeah, the biggest thing is Earl Spence breaks his opponents down. And as the fight goes on, he's an Energizer bunny, man. He keeps going and going and going. So while the other fighter is losing their win, the other fighter is getting more tired. The other fighter is catching their win. We've seen Terence Crawford tired in a fight. We've seen Terence Crawford lose energy. We've seen Terence Crawford lose win. We've seen Terence Crawford basically be pretty much nothing in a fight. We've seen this. Mm-hmm. We've seen Terence Crawford in trouble. We've seen Terence Crawford take shots and fold under pressure. But Earl Spence's pressure is a different kind of pressure because it's relentless. And this is the question that the Andre Wards of the world are asking. These are the questions that the Roy Jones Jr.'s of the world are asking. And these are the biggest Bud Man fans. They're saying, how is Terence Bud Crawford going to handle Earl Spence's pressure? And here's the thing. When you got idiots like Keyshawn Davis, that's why when people say, well, he G-checked Earl Spence, do you guys read? Do you guys even understand sarcasm? Are you guys even deep thinkers? Are you guys critical thinkers? Right. Earl Spence just basically turned around and said, well, if that's the case, how about I'll send you Frank Martin's way? That was a way to basically let him know you're not on my pay grade. Shut the hell up. And if you keep talking, I got a mini-me version of myself that will punish you just like I'm going to punish Terence Crawford. That's all he was saying. And just the fact that he was saying a few words. But a lot of people, because they don't think deeply, because they're not critical thinkers, because they may be, I don't know, from Omaha, Nebraska, or they just may be a simple Bud Man fan. I don't know what the case may be. It's got to be. It usually falls under one of them, because I remember I did a shorts with this guy that was from Omaha, Nebraska. You could tell his syllables weren't all the way together. So I know what I'm talking about when I say someone that's from Omaha, Nebraska are missing a few screws. Hey, Bud, TC, when I see you, come through my hood, Bud, and I'm gonna chop it up with you, and we gonna screw it up, and we just gonna. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, the syllables are too slow. It's kind of
OG flash salute. Yeah.
it's too slow, and it seems like you've been hit a few times with a few punches, and it
Right.
seems like you're not registering what's going on here. James Toney, you notice all the people that's picking Terence Crawford are the same people that's all punch drunk. They've taken too much
CCE.
punishment.
CCE.
Exactly.
Right. Here's the thing people be missing, man. A lot of who people get behind shows you a lot about their character, right?
Hmm.
Some people feel like that it's almost blasphemous if they go with the dominant person, or they feel like they gotta hate on someone who's great, and they have to hope somebody takes them down. So what I mean by that, a lot of people didn't like Kobe just because he was winning. A lot of people didn't like. I'm talking about black people didn't like Floyd because Floyd was winning. They don't like Tom Brady because Tom Brady was winning. You asking why I don't like this person? He just always win. That is a beta male loser mentality to not like somebody because they win. And if you ever felt that way, if I'm hurting your feelings, good man. Oh, how I hope I'm hurting your feelings. That way you
But
can
you know where that comes from, Ross? It comes from the indictment of the person's life, the way that person is. If that person's been a loser, if that person's been a degenerate, if that person's been a reject for damn near all of, if not almost all their lives, they're
right.
always gonna side with the degenerate. They're always gonna side with the reject. Terrence Crawford is a degenerate. Terrence Crawford is a reject. People think Terrence Crawford is special. I don't see nothing special about this guy. I'm gonna go as far as to say
Broken
this,
mirror.
and I'm gonna say it. Terrence Crawford is mediocre, man, because he's fought mediocre competition. In order for you to be a special fighter or an elite fighter, you are as good as your competition. If your competition is not elite, if your competition is not special, you are the deciding factor of that. The reason why we say Earl Spence is special is because he fought a special K. Listen to the
Right.
terminology. The guy's name was Special K. The reason why we say Earl Spence is special is because he fought your Dennis Ugas, who basically retired and made Manny Pacquiao AARP retirement Pac-Man style. Me
Right.
and you know this to be true because at the time I was at Vegas and we were laughing this thing off. The reason why Earl Spence is special is because Earl Spence made Danny Garcia a fighter who nobody's been able to do that. He made this guy welt a black eye, and he's been in denial about it for 9 months. The reason why Earl Spence is special is because Earl Spence had a fat camp. Earl Spence didn't even train the way he was supposed to, and he gave Sean Porter bloated trauma. The reason why Sean Porter couldn't even get up to fight the fight that he did against Terence Crawford, and he looked horrible in the tune-up fight in between that, is because Spence gave him bloated trauma. You were the one
Right.
that witnessed Sean Porter was grimacing at the end of that fight. He couldn't even walk. His dad
Right.
was telling ES News and them to move the camera away from him. The reason
Yep.
why Earl Spence is special is because Earl Spence retired Lamont Peterson. It wasn't no damn Sergey, whatever the hell his name was. It was Earl Spence that retired him. The
It
reason why
was
Earl
Errol.
Spence is special is because Earl Spence turned Mikey Garcia into a Uber, a Lyft, and a whole lot. Hey, taxi, Tijuana cab driver fighter. This was a
Yep.
guy who was a top four pound for pound guy in the weight class, and he embarrassed him. The guy that they were calling the Mexican Floyd Mayweather, he embarrassed this guy. The
Right.
reason why Earl Spence is special is because Earl Spence turned around and beat the living snot out of after Chris Van Heeteren. Chris Van Heeteren, at the time that Earl Spence fought him, he was the South African pride of a fighter who was looking to be a promising special welterweight. And Spence beat the special out of him. all because he was talking trash.
Exactly. Here's the thing, man. I'm glad you said all that shit. And low key, that little segment right there, you might want to you might want to find a way to record that and have that and play that before some videos or something. All that is true, but this is the power of the media and the power of suggestion. Because the media has said these two fighters on the same level. We have people who actually believe that with no proof. There's been no proof that Errol Spence and Bud on the same level.
Exactly.
147 is the major leagues. 135 to 140, when you talk about really boxing, that's like the minor leagues.
Yep.
That's like the minor leagues, man. There's some good
And
baseball
and
in the
and
minor
and
leagues.
Terence Crawford's version of 140 is really college baseball. If you want me to be honest with you, it's college baseball.
Right.
It was minor leagues when Danny Garcia, because this is what people don't understand. Danny Garcia had a way more decorated 140 domination than Terence Bud Crawford ever did because the level of opposition. I mean, just look at the fact that he fought Lucas Matiste. That in of itself dominates every opposition that Terence Crawford fought at 140. I mean, Ndongo is your ultimate fight. That's your undisputed fight. I mean, come on. If Errol Spence is
Right.
fighting Ndongo, is Ndongo still boxing at this point?
And Jeezy, salute, man. Spence always said we was gonna see who was holding up the fight when I get this last strap. He ain't ever lied. Real motherfuckers already knew who was holding up the fight.
Honestly, someone said that, and I figured I should say that. Salute to you, Black Boxing Kings. I forgot who said that. No, it was Film Study. If he's listening, salute to Film Study. He was like, man, he knows, man. I think Spence and them be taking your talking points. And I say, humbly, I appreciate if that is the case. I don't know because I'm not in their camp. But it is interesting that I've been saying this whole washing thing for I don't know how long I've been saying wash. I've been saying wash for years, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Spence recently said he's gonna wash Bud, man. So I don't know, man. I'm just trying to put two and two together with that. But even if that is the case, and even if that's not the case, that's not the bigger point. The bigger point is the fact that Spence was basically saying that the Russian guy, he just knew. He said, I looked at the Russian fighter and I looked at the fight against Mean Machine. And when I see the Mean Machine fight, and I saw how Mean Machine dropped him, that's when I knew I could wash Bud. Like he just
Mm-hmm.
knew.
He said
Anybody
that.
that's using their brain could just look at that fight and say, damn, this guy fought with Earl Spence's stance, and he basically dropped Terence Crawford. And here's the trippy part about it. Terence Crawford got dropped by a guy who was on a 9-month layover, man. That's
Right.
embarrassing.
Inactive. In the military, we go on whole deployments in 6
Yep,
months. I'm talking about we go across the water and sometimes wreck shit.
exactly.
Come back 6 months later. Go to your
Yep,
family. You know what I'm
yep.
saying? I can't get into the nitty gritty of what be happening or whatever, but just know motherfuckers go across the sea to do damage, come back home in 6 months. This motherfucker was
Salute to you,
inactive.
Black Boxing Kings, for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Right. This motherfucker was inactive for 9 months. Get in
And he
there,
dropped him. And he dropped him.
jump there with Bud, and with whooping Bud, man. Let's be
Kell
honest.
Brook was out boxing. And this is what Bud Man fans say. Before we even get to Kell Brook, now they're saying, well, the reason why the Mean Machine fight happened the way they always got excuses. The reason why
Always.
Mean Machine was able to drop Terence Crawford because he was an Olympian. So I'm sure they had to go research that because even they knew that this dude was a Marvel character. Even
They
they
had,
knew they didn't
they
know
had,
who the hell this guy was. So
they
they had to
had to
go
go do
research
some
that this guy
research.
was in the Olympics, man.
What the fuck did that got to do with anything? What that got to do with anything? If you Bud, it don't matter. He's been in the he's been inactive for 9 months.
Exactly.
That's
And
over
you
200. That's
hear
over
now
200.
that Terence Crawford said if there's any more delays in Spence versus Crawford, he needs to get another tune-up fight before he fights Spence. So if Bud is doing that, then that's clearly telling you that he's really ducking away from this fight. That makes absolutely no sense. Why do you need another tune-up?
Well, think about it. If you ain't fought the competition that it's gonna take to be ready for Spence by now. They ain't gonna never be ready for him, man. Who the fuck you gonna find to tune up to go get you ready for Spence?
Exactly.
Who you gonna find? He
And
should
don't
have
tell
been
me it's
there.
Keyshawn. Don't tell me it's Keyshawn Davis. Don't tell me it's him because I'm gonna be honest with you. All they got to do is throw Frank Martin. People keep saying, well, Keyshawn Davis is going to listen, man. That fight is another Spence Crawford in of itself mini version. This whole Keyshawn Davis, I saw his fight over the last weekend when I was mad at Shakur Stevenson for not making weight. You know, I was basically like
Right.
the only one on the island by myself saying this is inexcusable for a special fighter to not make weight. People are celebrating that, but when you are considered a special fighter, that is an indictment on you. When you don't make
That's the
weight,
truth.
that tells me there's a discipline problem there. That tells me that when you start going up the ranks in the level of competition, there's something there mentally that's not all the way there because you're not supposed to be missing weight, especially when you're considered the next guy. When is Earl Spence miss weight? And they keep calling Earl Spence this weight bully, but I've never seen him miss weight. They tried to say Floyd, well, Floyd missed weight in the Marquez fight. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, hold up. In the Marquez fight, this is what I told whoever it was that said that. I said in the Marquez fight, was that a catch weight? And they were like, yeah, it's a catch weight, so it don't fucking count. Name
Yeah.
a fight when it's an actual weight class.
And
Because he had to go and reach, and use a catch weight. Catch weight is not a real fucking weight class.
and first of all, let's say it was. At that point, Floyd was what 36, 37 years old. These
But the
motherfuckers, these
but the
motherfuckers
point was,
missing
Ross, he
weight. They
never missed
21 years
weight.
old.
He
What?
never missed weight at the weight class, at his
Yeah,
actual weight class. It was a catch weight. Catch weight
yeah.
don't even count. Me and you've said this before. Catch weight is not even a real weight class.
You know, that's what you do when you're trying to get an advantage.
Exactly.
You're trying to get an advantage. You ask for catch weights. Like thing about it was people not understanding. They say I'm gonna jump on this and we back on Spence. I only jumped on this because you jumped on it. People like to say Floyd only beat Canelo because it was a catch weight. Well, people fail to realize this, or they wasn't watching boxing. Canelo never boxed at 154. He always fought
Never.
at 152. He wanted
Yep.
to. He asked for the fight. Floyd took it. Then he automatically. Then he wanted to say, "Oh, but let's fight at 154." It's too late, motherfucker. You took the fight. You always fight at 152. Now you
Exactly.
want to fight at the weight class because you fighting against me?
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't how the shit work, nigga. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like you know what I'm saying? But back to Errol
No,
Spence.
but back to Terence Crawford. Terence
Yeah.
Crawford, this is his first time being in this quote unquote independent hat. So he doesn't even understand what he's doing.
No,
If he wanted to be smart about the situation, he should have just told Al Heyman, guide him. And you have a lot of Al Heyman haters, PBC haters. You got YouTube channels saying boycott PBC, and they're the main ones doing live streams when PBC fights are happening. PBC gave you the best fights this year. This is
right.
what I don't understand with a lot of these chong weird ass fucking YouTubers. If it wasn't for PBC, this year of 2022 in boxing would have been a wash. It would have been crap. It would have been garbage. But then they turn around and blame it on PBC. Okay, let's look at the actual fights that happen with other promotional companies. This last fight with the Zone with Canelo versus Triple G, it basically on the Zone, it basically what's the word I want to use? It became a bust.
There's a
They
flop.
didn't even want to release the streaming app numbers. It was a flop.
Yeah, but he knows. We knew it was gonna be a flop. I told everybody it was gonna be a flop. Because guess what? People are tired of Canelo, man. People tired of Canelo, man. The only motherfuckers that ain't tired of Canelo is motherfuckers sub and drink the cock every day.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the ones that sub and drink the cock every day, they're hurting right now. Their channels are no longer graduating anymore because they were on Canelo's ball sack for a long time. And this is the irony in it because I saw it on somebody's channel. Can't remember who it was, some clown TV channel or something like that, to where he was saying fake Earl Spence. I'm like, that sounds like a He Knows playbook right there. I be laughing when I see my playbook. I'm sure you laugh when you see your playbook because I know
Yeah,
I'm the only one that called out these fake as fuck Earl Spence fans.
yeah.
How you go from being a Canelo fan, you know Canelo got washed by Dimitri Bivol, and then now all of a sudden you ride it for Spence left and right. Your
Right.
videos are Spence geared, they're Spence oriented. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And then boxing fans are not calling this stuff out.
They're not calling it out, bro. Because you gotta think about it. Some people get so caught up in the like Charleston White be saying this. Niggas be getting caught up with the Mackin that they don't be saying his point of view. Niggas get so caught up, motherfuckers get so caught up with the Mackin, so caught up with finally hearing something that they want to hear, they don't even question why all of a sudden this nigga saying this. You gotta think about it. This nigga was basically telling you that Canelo was Jesus Christ, man. This motherfucker, seriously, it sounds funny, but this
He
dude
walked on
every
water.
day, but this dude every day was not just a fan of Canelo, but basically attacking niggas for even holding Canelo accountable. Now all of a sudden he on Errol Spence.
Man, Canelo must have been giving it to him good, man. Canelo must have been giving it to him good. He's lucky. He's lucky I renewed my life with Christ, man. Because it's certain terminology I can't go as far anymore to say. But you knew I will be going into it if I was in that place. I just can't go there no more. But man, Canelo's been giving it to him because how you gonna have videos out there where you keep saying Canelo said and Canelo, and I'm like, are you the mouthpiece for Canelo? Because you're saying one thing, and Canelo is obviously moving another way. Because I don't see him taking the Jamal Charlo fights. I don't see him taking the Demetrius Andrade fights. I don't see him taking the David Benavidez fights. I don't see him taking the Arthur Beterbiev fight. I mean, clearly after he got watched by Dimitri Bivol, he didn't want no smoke with that because he knew he was going to get knocked out. And here's the trip part about it. You got these other people, boxers, Clarissa Shields, and freaking Devin Haney. I mean, if you tell them to open their mouth wide and tell them to lick Canelo Alvarez's nutsack, they would be the first ones to do it. It does the ass kissing they were doing for Canelo Alvarez when they're in Canelo's fight. Man, Canelo, he's the face of boxing. Canelo, he can't do no wrong. Canelo, he just got skills. Canelo's this and that. And ever since he lost to Dimitri Bivol, I see now they're challenging and they're finally coming out of their mouths and saying, well, yeah, he should have fought Jamal Charlo. This is what you guys should have been saying from day one.
From day one, man.
Why are y'all saying this stuff now? That makes no sense to me.
I'm going to tell you why they doing it. You see, very few, and I'm sorry, man. I don't care who get upset about this. Very few black people move off principle and integrity. I'm not saying we are people who don't have principle integrity. What I'm saying is when you put black people in the industry, they're normally gonna make their moves based on survival and not based on what's right. What I mean by that, a lot of these guys,
slaves, basically.
Right. A lot of these guys who so pro Canelo, so pro Tyson Fury, they think by doing that it's gonna help them gain fans, and they think by doing that it's gonna help people buy tickets. The people that are Canelo fans not going to buy your fights.
Exactly.
Unless they want to see you lose. The people who are Tyson Fury fans, Tyson Fury don't even got that many fans. Because when he's not fighting Deontay Wilder, nobody want to see him. But those few fans that Tyson Fury got don't buy black people fights unless you're the top black person so they can see you lose. Facts. So in boxing, it's very easy if you want to be a success. If you want to be a box office success, you have to get on white people's nerves and make them want to see you lose.
But you know what I think, and I'm glad that you touched on that point. You know what I'm also seeing too? I'm also seeing a trend that when they do go that route with a buck dance, like OG Flash is saying, or buck dancing, which is the operative term for it, they don't realize that they're also going to get criticized too. Clarissa Shields realized she couldn't win when she went over to the MMA, which I told her that was the dumbest thing she did. She lost. Once she lost her aura, because before the whole MMA thing, she had a Floyd Mayweather-ish female version thing about her. She was undefeated. But see, when you lose in combat sport, even if it's not your primary combat sport, because that's what they want to do, it takes a level of aura. It takes an aura of invincibility off of you, because people can go back and say you got your ass beat here in this moment, in this particular moment in time. And then here's the other element too. Then she started getting criticized by people on Twitter saying you better lock in and you better focus against Savannah Marshall. Now she's being criticized back into her sport, her original sport where she was undefeated. These people originally did not criticize her because these people knew just based on the aura of invincibility of her just being undefeated, they didn't have no room to criticize, so they would just hate.
Right.
But now because she lost on the MMA side, they're thinking she can potentially lose on the boxing side. And see, now that she's realizing that she's getting this level of polarization, oh no, now I need to wake up. Now I need to awaken my blackness. This is the problem. You have a lot of dead black people that they selectively choose when they want to wake up their blackness or when they want to put their blackness to sleep. It doesn't work like that. It's either you're black or you're not. And
Right.
Terence Crawford is the biggest guilty culprit of it, because Terence Crawford, let's be honest, he was walked. See, people don't realize what Bob Arum has done for him until Bob Arum has left. As a matter of fact, this is more a credit to Bob Arum than it is an indictment on Terence Crawford. Bob Arum took care of Terence Crawford so much that you're seeing right now with Terence Crawford being on his own and the decisions that he's making on his own, he's actually reverse. He's actually worse than when it was Bob Arum that was doing everything. Bob Arum had lazy promotion. He had old school traditional promotion. But guess what? We knew the contract was getting signed. We knew the fight was there. We knew there was a fight date, and we knew things were completed at least. With Terence Crawford, there's no completion on anything.
Right. Right. And that's the thing I believe people are missing here is before you react to what's being done, always ask yourself why it's being done, and always ask yourself what's the ulterior motive? Who, what, when, where, and why? You gotta ask yourself this shit, man. These guys that claim to be the LDBC, why are they always attacking a black owner? Why are they always attacking pure black ran businesses where you're supposed to be the LDBC? Who's sending you to do that? And then it's not hard to insinuate that they working with Top Rank, because why don't they never have that same energy for non-black boxing companies?
It's
Right?
interesting you said that, because this stems even going back into, days where we're in shackles and chains, in the slavery days, because the biggest thing is you always have a select few of black people. They always got to buck the system, right? They
Right.
see that there are other blacks that want to break this oppression line. They want to break this ideology of us being slaves. They want to be independent. They want to be free. But then you have those that say, you know what? Now we kind of like the way we are right now. Yeah, it's bad for us. Yes, we are enslaved, but this is all we know. And it's crazy for us to change that dynamic, because let's just be honest, a lot of people are afraid and scared of change. So because of that dynamic, that someone can actually think outside of the box in Al Heyman and actually be able to have a situation where he's not doing things the conventional way, it
Mm-hmm.
scares a lot of people, and it scares their ideology. It scares their thinking, because they only have known things one way and their minds are ingrained in one way. So because they know and they think of things one way, they kind of skullduggery. Well, they don't kind of, but they really skullduggery other people's mindset to think in that one way. And there's not just one way to think of things. So when I see the most dumbest things, that Terence Crawford is independent, so he's like Floyd Mayweather, he could see the complete ins and outs of the contract. This is someone who clearly doesn't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
If anybody could see the ins and the outs of a contract, it would be Earl Spence. It would be Javante Davis. It would be the Charlo brothers, because these guys have LLCs. These guys run their own companies. People honestly think that Al Heyman is like a blueprint, like traditional promotion, where Al Heyman is basically kind of just doing everything, and these boxers are just dumb, just doing it willy nilly. And no, these boxers have their own teams, they have their own companies, they have their own LLCs, and all Al Heyman is doing is, hey, do you want me to financially help gear you into the right direction on how to make your money work for you? But if you want me to do that, then I'll charge you for that. I'll help you, but I have to charge you. This is what Al Heyman is doing, Because what people don't understand is when you look at advisory and promotion, I'm going to liken it to real estate. Advisory and promotion is just like in the business concept. I have to explain it this way so people can understand it. You know how you have a mortgagee or a mortgage broker and you have a real estate agent? A mortgage broker and a real estate agent cannot interwoven. They cannot basically wear two hats at the same time.
Right.
If they do, they will not only get in trouble of losing their license, they will also go and probably do some jail time for that shit. Well, it's the same thing in boxing. In boxing, you have bylaws. And you have people like Bob Arum. You have people like Oscar De La Hoya. You got people like Eddie Hearn. You got these types of people making sure that Al Hayman, because they cannot already stand him, that he is not double dipping. If you think Al Hayman could double dip and be a promoter and advisor, you don't think he would have already been do that? I'm sure he probably thought that a million years ago, but he cannot do that. If you are an advisor, you have to, under boxing's bylaws, you have to operate under a completely different hat. So he has all of these guys paying attention. So if he tries to be a promoter and an advisor at the same time, well, guess what? PBC not only gets bankrupt, PBC can get sued, and these actual promotional companies can say, hey, this guy right here, not only is he doing our jobs, he's creating a monopoly situation here where he's promoting and advising at the same time. So that can't happen. This is why I don't understand why you have a lot of dum-dums. They don't even understand simple business 101, and they're talking about things that they think that they know, and it's completely out of their depth.
Exactly. And we as a people, we got to break out that mindset. I see the same mindset in football. You have black people saying Errol Spence, I'm saying Lamar Jackson ain't a real QB. Just because he don't do things the way white guys do it. Our own people doing this. So that bolsters your point. How people have a fear of stepping out of the norm and taking the criticism for doing things differently. Listen, if Floyd Mayweather would have had a typical promoter, he would have never became Floyd, because promoters control your career and they dominate your money.
Exactly.
Al Hayman advises you. If it was me, I would do this, Floyd. These are your choices. This is gonna do this. This is gonna do that. This is gonna do that. What do you want? What do you want me to make happen for you? This is what you want. This is what I'm gonna make happen. That's an advisor. Promoters dominate your. Put it this way: Larry Holmes did not want to fight Muhammad Ali. He was forced to fight Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
He had no choice because he had a promoter who was dominating him.
Yep.
This is why they want to tear down Al Hayman. You got black LDBC. You got other black YouTube channels helping them. It's because, let's be honest, if they start giving black men this type of power, then the system changes. But some people only know how to live in the system where they have limited power.
And they are very afraid of being in that kind of stratosphere. I'm comfortable in that stratosphere. You're comfortable in that stratosphere. Anybody that has an independent thinking is operating in that stratosphere for days. We're like, give us more of that. But people that operate under a thumb where they have to have someone over them, someone lording over them, someone being their boss, they can't. And see, this goes back to that original point of what I was saying. People have one view. They have a one-trick pony viewpoint of what boxing is, and you cannot get them out of that mindset. Because the second you try to get them out of that mindset, to get them to see things differently, modernize themselves, because see, this is what business is. That's the format of business. Regardless what business you're doing, you have to modernize. And that's what Al Hayman did. Al Hayman came in and he did exactly the principles they teach you in business school. He modernized the situation. He was like, look, I don't even want to be a promoter. For you to even call me a promoter is a disrespect. It's an indictment on me. And it's basically saying that I'm a slave trader, that I'm a slave owner. Because what people don't understand is the undertones behind being a promoter, especially in the dirty sport of boxing, the dirtiness, the darkness, all of the crap that happens behind the sport. If you be honest with yourself, even Don King, a brother of ours, Anyone that's worn that promoter hat has done some kind of slave trading on their fighters. Al
Yeah.
Heyman didn't want no parts of that. So Al Heyman was like, let me wash myself. Let me Pontius Pilate. Let me wash my hands from this situation and let me become something different. Let me show them something different. And that
Mm-hmm.
scared the traditional or traditionalist boxing fans' viewpoint and mindset, because to them, they only see boxing one way. That's why I call them one trick ponies. And it messed everything up. But what it did was it helped these black fighters. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you look at it, the Charlos of the world, their net worths are bigger than Terence Crawford. Javante Tank, why do you think Crawford is mad at these people? Javante Tank Davis, his net worth is bigger than Terence Crawford. These people make more money than Terence Crawford because the reason why they make their own money is it's legitimate. They have their own LLCs, and you can go and research these things. This is public information. If you want, you can just go and look at Lions only promotions, Lions only. You can see this stuff. Man Down's promotion. You go
Right.
in the state that the person is from, the city that they're from. You can see their LLC. This is what's making me laugh when they say that PBC is ran completely by Al Heyman. No, Al Heyman doesn't run these guys' affairs. That's why when you saw when Jamal Charlo had that situation, which it was unfortunate that his business basically got out there in the open. But when he had that situation where he was having financial woes, if Al Heyman was really running his affairs, first and foremost, he would not be in that position, because
Right.
Al Heyman doesn't believe in people first and foremost being in financial woes. So it's clear that Jamal Charlo was running his own financial
Oh, sure.
affairs, and he was allowing his family to spend more than he was bringing in. And he had basically, he was a boss having a paycheck mindset. See, when you have your own business and you have your own company, you cannot have a paycheck mindset with that. As a matter of fact, you have to be even more frugal. You have to be even more budget oriented. You have to be even more strict than you are even when you have a 9 to 5, because everything is on you.
Everything.
So if you sitting there and you spending all of this money and you bringing money in and you're not understanding how your financial ledger looks, you don't understand how to balance sheet your sheet. Of course, you're going to go into debt, and you're going to blame that on Al Heyman. And this is what these, like you said, these names, these LDBCs and all of these black supposed channels that's supposed to promote pro blackness, hating on themselves, prostituting black queens that are supposed to be black queens, putting them on OnlyFans and
Right.
whoring them out. And now these same black queens are calling them cornballs and shit like that. Information gets back to me. But anyways, the point is like when these types of things happen, how can you trust these people's opinions? How can you trust their mindsets? How can you trust their viewpoints when they don't even understand? They are so far outside of what the inner workings are. This is Terence Bud Crawford's first time being in any hat to where he's really kind of just doing things on his own. So he's a baby to this shit.
And it shows. It shows. It shows for the simple fact, and it shows that Bud Crawford rather be a contrarian. A contrarian to me is just a rebel with no cause. They just want to buck shit, but don't have no reason. Because there's so many examples for the reason why he shouldn't have done what he done. So many examples. He just wanted to buck, right? For him, it's good to buck when you bucking the oppressive system. It's
Mhm.
not good to buck people who have went through what you went through and who have showed you is a better way.
Yep.
You've seen Floyd Mayweather's whole career. You've seen what it was with Bob Arum. You've seen what it was after Bob Arum. Why the fuck would you go to Bob Arum? Right? That's number one.
Because
You
he's
were
from
there,
Omaha, Nebraska. That's why.
right? You was there with Pacquiao. You see what Pacquiao's career was with Bob Arum. You seen immediately after he left Bob Arum, he started the fights that he wanted for bigger paydays than he ever got ever. Why would you stay? Why would you stay with him? And now it's time for you to fight, and you leave him. You want to know why you leave him? You leave him because now, because you know at this point Bob gonna make the fight. At this point, when there's nothing else, you know Bob gonna make the big fight. So you get away from Bob, so he can't make the big fight. And now and now you could have all these smoke and mirrors, all these doors to hide behind, saying, "Well, Bob Arum was stealing from you. You knew Bob Arum was going to steal from you when you signed with him, because he stole from everybody." So
Let's be honest. Let's be honest with this, Ross. You if you ask Terence Crawford if he would stay with Top Rank and he could never leave, he would have stayed, man. This
right,
all of this outside the box thinking, all of this open mindset, all of this trying to be independent. This is foreign to Terence Crawford. Matter of fact, it's giving him aneurysms, man. His brain is hurting right now. He doesn't even understand all this. That's why you see he's ducking and stalling because he can't have his mother and his sisters at the. Are you fucking kidding me? This is the biggest fight of your career, and this is what you came up with. That's clearly ducking tactics. Because who cares if they can't? If you have the biggest fight of your career and your family, you mean to tell me your family cannot watch the fight from where they're at back in their hometown? This is the biggest fight of your career. If that is what's holding you up from becoming the fighter that you're supposed to become legacy wise, come on, man. You know how many fighters have made that sacrifice? Floyd has done that.
right.
He didn't get everything he wanted in the Oscar de la Hoya, but
Yeah,
Floyd saw the bigger picture. Earl
right,
Spence is basically sacrificed a lot of stuff for this Terence Bud Crawford fight, but he doesn't care because he sees the bigger picture is undisputed, man. When you know, a lot of people just don't see the bigger picture. A lot of people don't have what I call the bigger picture mindset. And that's what happens when you have a lot of people with limited knowledge and limited understanding speak on things that make it seem like they are quote unquote experts. They are basically what we would say the connoisseurs, the people that are subject matter experts. They are not that. And it
right.
shows in leagues and droves because what they're doing is they're giving you their biased opinions. So when you say Terence Crawford has better skills, prove it. These are things that people are saying that are opinions. They can't be proven. When you
Yeah,
say the reason why Terence Crawford is going to win the fight is because he's going to switch it, I'm going to tell you right now, if Terence Crawford tries switch hitting on Jaron Ennis will cripple him. And Jaron Ennis is nowhere near Earl Spence's level. The reason why I say Jaron Ennis is because Jaron Ennis, like Earl Spence, they train for everything. They train for all of that bullshit. That's
right.
why switch hitting, like Derek James said, is stupid shit. It's dumb as fuck shit. Because when you are a fighter like a Floyd Mayweather is, a Earl Spence, a Jaron Ennis mode, when you are these types of fighters that see all types of opponents that come in and out, you can handle this switch hitting like it ain't nothing. It's garbage. It's garbage.
Think
And
about it.
since Terence Crawford is doing switch hitting on marginal opponents, he's not doing it against elite competition. So when he fights against a guy who's elite, and then you switch hit to their stance, because you got to understand, Terence Crawford's dominant position is orthodox. So when he switch hitting, what is he switch hitting to? He's switch hitting to southpaw. Why would you do that? It's like you're asking yourself to be punished more. So you're going to switch hit into southpaw and you're going to fight a guy who's naturally southpaw. That is the dumbest thing. If Terence Crawford fights Earl Spence, he better never switch hit. If he wants
Right.
to win that, if he wants to have a chance at that fight, he better never do that shit.
They do that because that excites the casual fans. The casual fan doesn't know anything about boxing. They think all that means something. They think the hands down means something. They think the sticking your face out means something. The casual fan fell in love with Tyson Fury because he's a switch and do a lot of goofy shit and posture throughout the fight. Real boxing fans don't care about posturing. We care about actual skills, landing, defending,
Yep.
footwork, body
Yep.
work. We care about things that actually matter, not things that don't. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't realize is the casual fighters, when when they finally get someone in there, when they don't have any advantages no more, they get in there with someone that's at their caliber with no advantage, they get beat and they get beat badly because you
Yep.
can't do all that posturing with somebody that's at your level or better. You can't do all that playing around. Why you
Yep.
think why you think Roy Jones Jr. ended up getting stiff so many times?
Yep.
He couldn't do that against certain level of fighters and they'll get knocked the fuck out, right?
Yep.
All that playing. All that playing. The only thing saving Tyson Fury is they let Tyson Fury get away with things they'll let other people get away with. But let Tyson
Exactly.
Fury get in there with somebody no advantages and play. It's gonna be like the first fight when he fought Deontay Wilder. He got laid down, went to
Yep.
sleep. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
anyway it goes, that's for the casual boxer fan. You can always separate the casual from the real boxer fan by what they like.
Yep.
I,
And
I,
and 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 that's why when I heard Keyshawn Davis out of his own mouth say, "Oh well, um, you know what Spence is gonna do. You know Spence is gonna just come to the body, and you know Spence is gonna lead everything with the jab." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so you're a supposed professional boxer,
right,
and you're basically saying you don't like fundamentals, that
right,
you hate fundamentals. So basically, I already know what type of fighter you are. I deduced you exactly for what the fuck you are, a flashy style fighter. And this is why the Frank Martins of the world is going to expose you, because fundamentals, technique beats that flashy stuff 10 out of 10 times. We
right.
saw this when Roy Jones Jr. went up against Antonio Tarver. We saw it when he went up against Glenn Robinson or Glenn
Glenn
Johnson,
Davis,
however you say
Glenn
his
Davis,
fucking name.
Glenn Davis or Glenn Johnson, whichever. Glenn
Yeah, it's Glenn something. He went
had
up against
that,
that motherfucker.
had that motherfucker.
We
Yeah,
we seen those guys knock him out because they use fundamentals and technique. We saw when Mike Tyson was doing his Mike Tyson shuffle bullshit, and Buster Douglas knocked his ass out. What did he knock his ass out with? Fundamentals and techniques. He was working the body downstairs and working that damn chin upstairs. He was doing that combination, fundamentals and technique. We
mm-hmm.
saw why Evander Holyfield beat Mike Tyson, because he used technique and he used fundamentals. Yeah, he used his headbutt. He headbutted him too, but he was using fundamentals and technique. That's why he was winning that fight. We saw how Lennox Lewis knocked out Mike Tyson because he was leading everything. He had him at the corner of the jab. So
Right.
when people don't understand fundamentals and techniques and they call it basic, I say that you are a basic boxing casual because you don't understand the sport of boxing. So when you hear a boxer who's supposed to be a professional boxer at that say that, that just tells you that the Terence Crawford mode of fighting is smoke and mirrors, man.
Yeah. Thing about it is, Crawford knows in his heart, all things equal on the equal playing field. I think he knows that he don't really have anything that Spence never seen before. But he knows he hasn't seen anybody like Spence. But I believe Terence Crawford just don't want to see Spence be undisputed.
Of course
Just
he doesn't want to see him. Of course he doesn't want to see him undisputed, because undisputed will forever be in the record books that it was off of Terence Crawford's back, that
right.
he was undisputed. And the fact that he retired Terence Crawford in the process. You guys have to understand, this fight, I still believe is going to happen. And when this fight ultimately happens, when Earl Spence dominates Terence Crawford, it's going to send a shockwave in the boxing fans' mindset, because a lot of these boxing fans are going to see now three of their stapled fighters. I don't know if you've been doing the math here, but they see Manny Pacquiao went down. They've
Yep.
seen Canelo Alvarez went down, and now
Yeah.
they're seeing Terence Crawford going down. You got to understand what it's going to do to these types of boxing fans' mindset. It's going to show to them that they just don't have it together. When they pick these types of fighters, when they are put in the lion's den and they have to fight against the guy that they're supposed to fight against, that really is that opposition, they're going to lose. And now what it's going to do is it's going to now start sending that message in people's minds that, okay, now we see why Canelo does not want to be in the ring with Jamal Charlo. It's going to take years, but what you're going to see years from now is you're going to see even the most advent Canelo Alvarez fans, they're going to come out years from now. I'm giving you guys a prediction, prophecy, however you want to call it. Years from now, they're going to say Canelo ducked Jamal. They're not going to say it right now because it's not popular right now. It's not popular opinion. It's taboo right now. But years from now, when Canelo really starts to unwind and he starts to really go on his downturn, they're going to say that Canelo ducked Jamal Charlo. And it's going
Yep.
to be at a time where not too many people are going to care to hear it anymore at that point because the time is going to already have passed so long. But this fight right here, when Terence Crawford loses to Earl Spence, you're going to see a lot of people quiet for about a good 6 months. You're going to hear 6 months of quietness on the opposite side. We saw 3 months of quietness from the Manny Pacquiao fight. We saw a month and a half of quietness from Canelo Alvarez. Well, you're going to see 6 months, man. It's going to be bad.
It's gonna be bad.
It's just gonna be basically pro Spence fans that's just gonna be talking the whole way, saying, "Man, I told you so. I told y'all." And these guys, what you're gonna find is even their volume of content is gonna drastically reduce itself because they're not even gonna know what to talk about. Because what's happened now at this point is their ideology, their way of how they see boxing has been challenged to a point to where they're questioning themselves. They're asking themselves, do we even know what we're talking about?
They don't. Well, why they don't? They can't set aside their feelings to actually critique what's actually on film.
Yep.
What's the word? If you could separate your feelings, compartmentalize how you feel from how you thinking, then you see this. But if you can't do that, they just gonna catch you by surprise.
Exactly.
It shouldn't catch anybody by surprise what's going on in boxing. It shouldn't caught anybody by surprise that Bivol pretty much walked through Canelo. Because Canelo was never beating people at 175. They were diving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Think about it. Canelo didn't fight the. Did that look like the Cloverleaf that fought Andre Ward? Did it?
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
That fought your boy Yardy? Hell no.
Nothing
he was
like
trying
it.
to kill Yardy. They was jumping. He went in that bitch and laid down.
Yep.
And if you can't see that, just because you don't want to see it.
And Caleb Plant should be ashamed of himself because now he let Dimitri Bivol get the attention that he should be getting. And then he wants to rematch Canelo in 2024. You've lost that opportunity. I'm sorry to tell you that, brother. You've lost it. You've lost it.
Canelo's career can't take another fight nobody wants to see. He got to fight somebody. Listen, Canelo's career can't take Caleb Plant. It can't because nobody want to see that. Caleb Plant no realizes you got to strike when the iron hot. You took the dive. That's it.
Canelo's the type of fighter he can't process losing. But what Canelo needs to understand is his career is actually going to get more of an uptick in losses than it is going to be in win because his fan base are the dumbest fan base next to Pactards in boxing. The Mexican community fan base, they are the dumbest fan base ever. They're going to celebrate a fighter if he has 100 losses. They're going to celebrate a fighter if he's lost to cab driver fighters. They're just going to celebrate the fighter, period. But if Canelo loses to Jamal Charlo, loses to Demetrius Andrade, when he loses to all these guys, lose to David Benavidez and lose to Arthur Beterbiev on top of the loss with Dimitri Bivol and on top of the loss with Floyd Mayweather, that actually brings his resume up, those 6 losses, because people are going to say, man, he actually fought competition.
He fought everybody
in those losses.
Right. He gets no win. He gets nothing for the Rocky Fielder. He gets nothing for Caleb Plant. He gets nothing for Colin Smith. Because nobody cared about those fights.
Exactly.
Nobody cared about those fights. He gets nothing for Triple G.
Nothing for Amir Khan.
Nothing for these guys. Amir Khan come up 2 weight classes.
And a pound.
And was struggling. And was struggling with him. So
155. Wow.
And people like, yeah, but he knocked him out. So what? Danny Garcia knocked him out too.
Exactly.
So what does that mean? What does it really mean that Canelo knocked out Amir Khan? What does it really mean? Danny Garcia did that.
Faster fashion.
That ain't nothing.
Exactly.
That ain't nothing. Think about it. When people like somebody, they exaggerate everything they do.
Yep.
When they want to like somebody, man, you could like somebody and still hold them accountable.
Yep.
I like Tank Davis. When Tank Davis was missing weight, I said Tank Davis was fucking up, man.
Yep. I was right there. See, that's why we keep that same energy. When Tank Davis missed weight, I think it was 2 or 3 fights he did. Man, I was hard on him. You were hard on him. We were hard on him. Shakur Stevenson did it. You see all of these other people, man, why are you hating on Shakur? No, that's not supposed to happen. Just because I like you, that doesn't mean I can't criticize you. I'm going to criticize you, especially if I like you. I'm going to criticize you probably even more.
Shakur lucky because White Roger getting ready to get on his ass. YouTube made me take a break. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Let me take a hiatus. You know what I mean from the site. So once I come back with that hiatus, I'm on his ass because, bro, you are 20. What are you like 21, 22 years old?
Yeah.
How are you missing weight?
That doesn't make sense.
You ain't fighting against age or nothing. How you missing weight, bro? That's just you fucking around. Probably with Adrian Brunner. I don't know. Somebody of that caliber hanging out, not putting in the time in the gym like you're supposed to. Taking your competition for granted. But you're gonna run into that one person that's gonna make you settle down.
And people thought I was so against Devin Haney, and I put Devin Haney right above him again because Devin Haney's never missed weight. And I even did a community post. See, this is not personal for me. This is about judging fighters, boxing wise, where they're at realistically at that point in time. I ranked Devin Haney higher than him because Devin Haney's never missed weight. I'm sorry. Devin Haney never missed weight, and Devin Haney is undisputed. So if you're calling out Devin Haney, at least make fucking weight, man. That's why I took that win. That win meant nothing to me because of the fact that you did the call out, but you didn't do everything you were supposed to. It would have given the fight more oomph if you would have made your weight. Because to be honest with you, he should have been disqualified because that's weight bully right there. When you don't make weight for a fight, if they want to be technical with this weight bully terminology, when you miss weight and then you fight somebody, you technically weight bullying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
What they do is because people have bought tickets to be there, they can't catch the fight, but what they do is they do something even worse. They take your belts from you and shit.
Yep.
They say he lost his belts on the scales. He didn't lose it to the person he fought, but they vacated. He got stripped.
And that's messed up because look at who the opposition you fought to get those belts, and you're going to automatically just lose those belts. Why? Because you couldn't make weight. When we know damn well the fights that you had, I mean, the people that you beat to get those belts, and then you lose it. I mean, you take away prestige from you, you take a lore away from you, and you show that there is something there mentally that if I am Devin Haney and I'm really studying how to fight this guy, and I really go and do the film study, there's something there. He gave Devin Haney something. If there wasn't nothing, he gave him something that his team can dissect and say, well, he's not disciplined in this area right here. Because these types of things, they carry on. You see, if Shakur was showcasing himself as a professional, he should have said, you know what? No excuse. I don't care if I won this fight. I disappointed all of y'all because I should have made weight. That should have been the first thing that came out of his mouth. Not celebrate the damn win, because that win was not impressive. There was nothing impressive about you being so-called a special fighter and missing weight at the same time. There's nothing special about that. And the other thing about this that's a trip is you're now challenging guys who are more dangerous. You're trying to go after Devin Haney's. You're trying to go after Gervonta Davis. You're trying to go after these fighters. You really need to be even more disciplined. You really need to be more locked in. If you're going to go after these fighters, this level of opposition, if this is going to be the route that you're going to take, you really need to show that you seriously get it. Because if you don't get it, I'm sorry to say it, it's not going to work in your favor.
The thing about it is, I believe he called Devin Haney out at, like I said, right time, right place, what, why, when, where, how. I always ask those questions. He called him out because, let's be honest, if we don't call out Devin Haney, then what's the talk of that fight? The talk of the fight is this motherfucker missed weight. That's the talk of the fight.
Exactly.
But he calls out Devin Haney, knowing he's not ready for Devin Haney, obviously, because you missed the weight and shit. He called him out to kind of curtail that criticism he was gonna get for missing weight, and people just be falling victim for the okie doke. Like, bro, okay, he called out Devin Haney. So what? People call out people all the time with no intention of fighting and shit. The fact of the matter is the fight at hand, the fight you just finished, you lost the titles on the scale.
Yep.
You lost the
And
titles on the
I
scale.
can't believe people who have this traditionalist boxing mindset. They're supposed to be traditionalists in the way that they think. They're the main ones celebrating this and not getting after him about this. But they got after Tank. And this is where you could see there's a double standards that's associated with boxing
Yeah,
because it's always primed on a PBC fighter. And I want to touch on Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo was basically acquitted of his situation. Nobody talked on that.
they didn't.
But as soon as Jamal Charlo was in an adverse position, everybody wanted to jump on that. But once he was acquitted, no one fixed their mouths to say, well, he was acquitted. See, they always want to do the damage, but nobody wants to do, outside of myself, you're the only other person I know that does damage control. No one wants to do the damage control. No one wants to do the cleanup. No one wants to be the part of the cleanup crew to clean up the damage that was done.
Right.
When people sat here and dropped videos left and right to say, well, he has problems, in his family, he has problems in his home. Why are you speaking on that, man? And people don't realize, yes, you're talking boxing, but here's the thing: when you start going into personal situations and people's personal problems, you're speaking those things on yourself too, man.
That's the reason why I don't have any respect. I don't even have respect for Fanon. I watch people to keep abreast of what their thought process is. I don't have any respect for Fanon. I don't have any respect for I don't have I have respect for Monty Brown as a person, not for his opinion on boxing. I don't have any respect for Showbiz the adult. I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Mm.
They're super quick to report on PBC fighters whenever they have some type of mishap in their life, and people have mishaps in their life, man. They're
Yep.
quick to do that. They're quick to kick them down. They're quick to report on Errol Spence when he get into a car accident. They're quick to report on Errol Spence when he was out in the club being a young man, not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that, man, I'm a professional boxer. I can't really get down like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're quick to
Yeah.
report on it, but they're not quick to report on the fact that you have never seen Errol in that position again.
Yeah.
You ain't never seen Earl blow up big again. You ain't
Yep.
never seen if you can report the negative, why you can't report the positive in the same light? I lose
And they
respect.
won't report the people that they like. Oscar De La Hoya and his, women beating tendencies and drunkard behaviors, cross dressing. They don't report on none of that stuff. Honestly, I think a lot of these guys do the same things too. They probably have blow up dolls that they're screwing left and right. They don't report on, Sergey Kovalev when Sergey Kovalev was beating his wife. That was actually the worst thing that was happening because there was pictures, there was indications, there was proof beyond proof that this guy was actually doing this stuff. And they kept saying alleged, alleged, alleged. But when it was PBC, you see these PBC guys, you see what's going on. And then the situation between Jamel and Jamal Charlo, these guys are twins, man. Twins in any family are gonna have their mishaps. You know what I like about twins? In a lot of ways, twin relationship, because I have multiple twins in my family, a lot of times their relationship is more authentic than people who are not twins and people who are just so-called friends. Because with twins, they don't care if they're in front of you, they don't care if they're behind closed doors. If they got an issue with each other, it's gonna be known. They got that issue. And when it's time for them to resolve the situation, they resolve it and they let it be known that it's resolved. There's nothing fake about their relationship. And I think that's what I can respect more
Right.
than anything else. And you would wish more human beings, honestly, could be like that in front of people. Like, be
Right.
yourself, be authentic. And they're being basically marginalized and they're basically being criticized for being brothers. You mean to tell me you
Right.
don't have other people in their families don't have sibling rivalries, they don't have sibling issues? Twins are
Right.
not twins. They don't have family problems. So you want to get on these guys because what? You're actually getting on them, or is it because they're affiliated with the PBC brand? If you notice, there's always this extra
With PBC,
thing with PBC.
always. And that's the reason I don't respect it, because my thing is this. Certain things I try not to touch on because I gotta check my motives. Right? The reason why I jump down on the Errol Spence shit because I was building my channel. My channel wasn't doing much. I was just rebuilding, right? Probably had like
Mm-hmm.
300 some subscribers, some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was conflicted. Am I doing this because it's a big story, or am I doing this for the right reason? So I didn't do it at all. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't speak on it until we did a live stream.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I think I did the right thing. It wasn't the right thing for my channel, but it was the right thing for my integrity. But the thing,
Yep.
well, that's the reason why I don't like people because if you're the type of person you report on everything, that's fine. I'm not gonna knock
Yep.
you, but report on everything then. So if you report on everything, then that means people should know that Errol Spence is a great father too. Why you ain't reporting on that? People should also know that Errol Spence has a great father. Why ain't reporting on that? People should also know that Errol Spence got a bad contract from Bob Arum. His father said, "Nah, don't deal with him. Deal with Al Hayman. You're not gonna get that much advance money up front, but at least he's a better person."
Mm-hmm.
Why the average person don't know that? But we know about Errol Spence and the club and shit. Who needs to know that? To me, that was too chatty patty for me to be talking about. Whenever I talked about it, I said, "Man, Errol Spence got to do better with the people that's around him." That was it. I was done with it. But chatty patty, Errol Spence he's not going to be great and blase blase. After I said that, because he even knows that, I said, "Well, I know he knows in his mind." After that, I'm not going to keep talking about that shit because at the end of the day, that's been me.
Yeah.
I've been in the club, fucked up with my homeboys, or fucked up with people I thought I was cool with, and maybe I should have been there. I was
Mm-hmm.
a naval sailor. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have been. Maybe I could have been there, but not so drunk. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so I know shit happens, right?
Yep.
Shit happens. So I say the obvious. I'm done with it. I don't beat my people down.
Yep.
My thing is this: if you're the type of person you just ultra judgmental, you ultra critical of people, why you ain't that way with white people? Why you ain't that way with Mexicans? Why you only
Mm-hmm.
that way with the black people and the Latinos that look black?
Yep.
Why you only that way with PBC fighters? That's why I don't respect. I respect the people that are really critical. That is in them. I have an aunt that's like that. Well, I know why
Yeah.
I respect her, even though it irritates me, because she like that even with herself.
Yep.
She like that with everybody. With
Yep.
herself, and she always could be better.
Well,
So I respect it, but I don't respect it when it's nitpicky here. That on it here, it's you sucking them off. I don't like this.
it's interesting you said that because you know, I've always been of the mindset, integrity, man, ethics, morals, values. Because at the end of the day, you got to live with yourself. You have to
Right.
look at yourself in the mirror, and you have a God that when it's just you and him, it's just you and him, and he sees everything, man. And I've always been that person. If I haven't been anything else, if I haven't done nothing else perfect, I've done that, man. Just that the high road because I want when my reputation is put out there, put out front. You could say what you want about me. You could call me a hardliner. You could say sometimes I'm hard to work with. You could say I have this, mindset. You could call me whatever the fuck you want to call me. You could say that, I run the ship a certain way, whatever. But you're gonna respect the fact that I have this integrity, I have this moral, I have this value where I'm not going to go against that. Because a lot of people that have huge channels, their reputation is shit. Like,
Right.
what does it profit you to have a huge channel, but you're known as a clickbaiter, or you're known as this? You're not like really. It's like you're a sellout. I don't want to be in that
Yeah.
position. If
Straight
I
up.
went that route, man, if me and Ross behind the scenes say, you know what, man, we gonna outdo these guys when it comes to selling out. Man, we be both sitting with 1 million subscribers each. It's easy to do this because all you got to do is talk good about Mexican fans. I mean, this is not hard. You talk
Right.
good about Pacquiao, you talk good about this, you talk good about that. But here's the thing: you got to live with that.
You gotta live with it.
You got to deal with that because what happens that day when you decide you wake up, you look in the mirror like Showbiz the adult, you say, I don't want to talk about this no more, and you want to start telling people you were a rapper. People gonna be like, "What? You was a what?
Right.
I thought you
Right.
was talking about Terence Crawford or whatever. We didn't know you was a rapper. We don't want to hear this shit. We don't
Right.
want to hear you rapping."
Right. You sit here. You sit here trying to find the next big thing because man, your boxing opinion, your shit might be over with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
now they doing this now. Now since Canelo's pretty much come to an end,
Yep.
right? Now all of a sudden they trying to give Benavidez the price he's supposed to get. Because you gotta understand one thing. With these black motherfuckers that sellouts, they don't care as long as they giving props to anybody except the black alpha.
But here's the problem. The Benavidez is not. You gotta understand the way that their minds work. They have to find the perfect person that they could ride that ship with the longest. Benavidez is what you call a variable they can't control. The reason why they can control Canelo is because they understand the variable that he is. He's a
Right.
rehydration clause. He's a cheater, just like they are. People identify with people that represent their own personality. I've been
Right.
saying this for the longest, and people, this has been going over a lot of people's heads. But you see that now. When you see a person root for a fighter, it's because a person sees a lot of their characteristics
In the
in
fight.
that fighter. When Terence Crawford is barking and chihuahuaing, it's because his fan base, they bark and they chihuahua. They go from one channel, yeah, yeah, and they go to another channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're opera
Yeah.
singers, and they do this. And you see Terence Crawford is the same way, the same buildup. So David Benavidez, them rooting for him, that's not gonna last because David Benavidez is the type of fighter that speaks his own mind. He's gonna shit on Canelo Alvarez. He's gonna talk trash against the people that they conventionally love. So eventually they're gonna have to distance themselves from David Benavidez. So this is one of those things where they are conveniently trying to find a place to land, but they
Right.
haven't fully flushly land. The person they want to land on is Terence Crawford, but they know Terence Crawford's days is numbered against Earl Spence, so they
Right.
can't land on him.
Right. Just think about it. These motherfuckers been on the fence. This was their way of supporting Terence Crawford by either being pro or being on the fence with the fight, right? But
Yep.
now that the fight is at hand, now these motherfuckers don't even be talking about the fight. And now that the fight seemed like it might not happen, now everybody talking about it now because guess what? If it don't happen, they can ease back into the yeah. Too bad the fight
Earl
didn't.
Spence is ducking. Earl
Right, right,
Spence is
right,
this and
right, right.
that.
Too bad the fight not going to happen because Crawford would have washed him. You know what I'm saying? Now they can do that. They can go back behind the fence and bark. You know what
But
I'm saying?
what I don't understand about that is why would Earl Spence be ducking Crawford when Earl Spence is the one getting 65%? Earl Spence is getting the lion's share of everything. He's not getting fully what he wants, but he's getting mostly what he wants. Like, how
Right,
do you get mostly what you want and still duck the fight? That makes no sense. That's the dumbest thing anybody could say. And it's like a lot of people are not sitting here doing what's called the process of elimination. They teach you that even in grade school. When you want to know the answer to something, just start doing the process of elimination. When you start
right,
doing the process of elimination, you're going to find out what's the strongest thing that stands. It's like you're saying, you separate the weak from the strong. You're going to know what is strong and what's weak if you do the process of elimination. And if you do that process of elimination, you'll realize, okay, what Terence Crawford is saying, this shit is not making sense.
making
It's
no
really
sense.
not making sense. And then when you do the process of elimination with Earl Spence, you can be like, oh, this stuff is starting to add up. Somebody here is not telling the truth. And then you start realizing it's Terence Crawford.
Right,
He's the one that's not telling the truth because what did Terence Crawford say? What was his whole calling card? His whole calling card was Earl Spence was on the opposite side of the street. He was with PBC, and it was a roadblock because he was with Bob Arum. He is no longer with Bob Arum. So process of elimination, that's the biggest one. If he's no longer with Bob Arum and there's no longer a roadblock, why is this fight still not happening? And then once you come to that conclusion, you start realizing, okay, the problem is Terence Crawford.
the problem with Terence Crawford. And you got to think about it. Terence Crawford been on top rank for how long?
Hmm.
Forever, right? He was on top rank. Soon as Errol Spence beats Eugenics Ugas. Now all of a sudden you won off Top Rank, and all of a
Yep.
sudden you realize Top Rank ain't the place for you. How you
Yep.
gonna leave the place who you know now now that is an undisputed fight that this is the only guy that can help you make the fight overnight? How you gonna leave him?
Exactly.
And all of a sudden you want to be independent. All of a sudden.
All of a sudden. That's why I said that whole lawsuit bullshit was nonsense. That lawsuit crap that he was doing with Bob Arum, I saw right through it, man. I
Me too,
saw.
me too, me too.
I,
That's the greatness of people don't realize this nigga is smart in all the wrong ways. That's the greatness of this, right? The greatness of this shit is the whole time he knew he was getting fucked over, but he was allowing it but Top Rank served a purpose. There was a barrier between him and Errol Spence. Now,
yep.
now that barrier is not there, now he filed a motion to do some shit that really got validity. But the reason why he's doing it is not valid.
Yep.
But you
And
can't.
you know what? I'm gonna go as far as to say this. What I will say is this much: that I do believe that Bob Arum was eventually gonna throw Terence Crawford to the wolves to fight Earl Spence. Bob Arum just wanted to get what he felt was a top-ranked, strange, fair deal from Al Hayman. He was gonna draw the thing out, but you know what? He was gonna throw him to the lion's den. Don't get it twisted. He was gonna throw him in that shark's tank. Terence Crawford knew there was something that happened. There's something that me, you, and the whole boxing world is not privy to. There was a conversation, I guarantee. You know, this smells, I'm going to tell you what it smells like, and you're going to have a whole lot to talk about. This smells like Canelo Alvarez towards the end when Oscar De La Hoya was getting ready to throw him to Jamal Charlo, and then all of a sudden he wanted to do lawsuit, and he wanted to do all of this weird stuff out of the wayward. It's the same thing. I'm sure there was a conversation where Bob Arum was like, yo, you gonna have to fight Earl Spence, man, because I need to get paid off of you because I didn't make nothing off of your ass. And when Terence Crawford realized that, that's when he started saying, oh, I got a bunch of these dumb black fans that still supported me, even though I don't care too crap about them. Let me jump on this bandwagon. Out of nowhere, he started becoming this self-proclaimed, black fighter that represents his own blackness, yada yada yada. Where did all of this come from? Out of nowhere.
Where did this shit come from? Now all of a sudden he's Nat Turner. Like what? You just told me for the last 8 years. Now you Nat Turner. Are you trying to get off the plantation by any means? Stop that.
And it happened conveniently after Ugas's. Listen, man, he sees what we all saw. He saw Dennis Ugas's eye. He saw how long it took Dennis Ugas's eye to heal. He saw how long it took Dennis Ugas to heal. He saw all of that. And he was probably like, you know what? I want no parts of that, man.
That's the problem right there. The problem is he's been talking all that shit. Now he ain't got no choice. His fan base, they try to protect him now. Y'all the reason why he in danger.
Yep.
Y'all the reason why he in danger. Because when y'all knew he was capping back then, but y'all promoted it, y'all retweeted it, y'all went to every channel that was pro Errol Spence and said Bud gonna stop him. And now look at this motherfucker don't even want the fight. Talking about he don't need that fight. He's still gonna be a Hall of Famer. Who
exactly?
How you don't need this fight? You got paid $2 million flat rate for your fights.
Yep.
They did that for a reason because they're like, oh man, this nigga don't really sell no fights. At least we can do this and make sure we don't lose no money. We can pay him because let's think about it. $2 million ain't shit. What's his name making more than that? What's his name was making more?
Adrian Broner,
Tank Davis. These folks, they're making more than that on Showtime subscription.
Yep.
Showtime subscription is a $4 million or better contract that they do.
Yep.
You doing that shit, and you. This how you know. These guys not as good as because the media is what gassed them up, right? Sports media make the pound for pound list, and they always put white-owned companies in the majority of the pound for pound spots.
Yep.
It's all positive. Got nothing to do with skill. Because think about all the guys who's getting whooped and getting exposed. These all was the pound for pound motherfuckers.
Exactly. Why you think I said the only thing good that came out of Omaha, Nebraska is Warren Buffett? That's it.
And I ain't even know he was from there.
Because when you look at everybody else in Omaha, Nebraska, I'm sorry to say this, especially people that look like us, they don't process, they don't deep think. They're not critical thinkers, man. I see this. Have you ever listened to Terence Crawford talk? He sounds, you know, Ti is bad with that. Ti is one of those types of guys that he tries to make you seem like he's smarter than what he is.
It'd be
But
struggling.
he be struggling. But there's some elements to him that is kind of smart. Whereas with Terence Crawford, he is that on steroids. I mean, it's even worse. Cause I sit there and I listen to Terence Crawford and I listen to him try to say things, and I'm like, dude, who you think you fooling with that
Dude,
bullshit?
be quiet, man. Every time he go up there with that funky ass Max Kellerman always be asking all these technical questions that he know that he can't answer, man. And then he's like, Terrence, you always seem to be mad. He mad because you asking him shit that he can't. He don't know how to respond to you. So he got to act like he upset. He's too upset to respond to that shit.
And
Stop
Bomac
asking him that.
is that individual that he interrupts, and you thinking he's gonna say something even better, and he says something worse.
You gotta understand one thing, man. It's one thing to have a motherfucker that's not in the best shape, because they normally your training gonna be like 20, 30 years your senior, right? Normally.
Yeah.
It's another thing to have a nigga that's your trainer that's fat as fuck. It should be nowhere near a boxing ring, right?
Yeah.
Like, bruh, that gonna show me right there. You don't really want to get trained, really, because you gotta think about it. Bomac probably be out of breath just watching Terence Crawford jump rope. That should probably make him tired.
You know, Ripley Brazy's on to something. He said the movie Belly proved Nebraska moves weird.
And the thing about it is, you gotta understand, this is the reason why you gotta have a little mercy on niggas from Nebraska. What else do they have to celebrate? They not really
a street.
They're not really Bud Crawford fans. They are people who lack options, man. They lack options. What else they gonna celebrate? They had to, by no choice, celebrate him, man. That's the reason why they get there. And for Omaha, man, you know Omaha not that big of a city, so he ain't getting that much numbers like that. They have no choice but to celebrate that nigga. That's the only reason why he got fans. Straight up. And the people you got people who from Omaha, those are the real fans. You got people who are Access fans. You know why they fans? Just because they don't like Earl Spence.
There you go.
Shit crazy. So you
it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with them liking Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is the least like Earl Spence opposition fighter I've ever seen. You know, Mikey Garcia fans, they are authentically Mikey Garcia fans because Mikey Garcia is Mexican. So you can always trace something to it. So they're Mexican, so it makes sense.
It makes sense.
But Terence Crawford, the only reason why they picking him is because these are disgruntled Mikey Garcia fans. They didn't like what Spence did to Mikey Garcia. I'm telling you, man, every time you mention Mikey Garcia, you will find a Mexican that goes on an aneurysm for a whole month just thinking about that fight.
Right. They be on your channel whenever you mention Canelo or Mikey Garcia, the Mexican fan base is coming, boy.
Yep.
They coming and they saying stupid shit, boy.
Yep.
That's why Castillo beat Floyd. Like, you gotta watch that fight, man. That fight ain't as close as they were trying to make it seem. Yep. It's not. Castillo looked bad in that fight, man. Both fights. He looked horrible in those fights. You're never gonna look clean.
And this is why you could tell a lot of boxing fans their knowledge is limited. You're never gonna look clean when you're fighting against a fighter that fights awkward. I don't care how skillful you are.
Right.
When you're fighting against a guy who is a master of his own awkward ability, he's gonna make it look like the fight is hard, even though the fight is not really hard. If you're really looking at the inches and the distances, like if you're really judging this thing in a close quarter combat, you'll see who's the more accurate puncher, who's landing the shots, and who's not. It's just not gonna look pretty to the naked boxing casual eye, but those who have a trained boxing connoisseur eye, they can see who's landing and who's not landing, who's just basically being busy.
Right. He wasn't even busy. What he'll do, he'll follow Floyd around the ring, eating jabs, eating straight right hands, Then he'll grab him around the waist and then hit him in the shoulders and his ribs and shit.
Yep.
Those punches didn't even count because you can't. You could punch somebody and you could maneuver them with your elbows, with your hand a little bit after you punch them. You can't hold them and punch them.
Yep.
Those punches don't count. That's why the fight was so lopsided because the actual judges did a fucking job, man.
Exactly.
You know, they got whooped. It wasn't even that close. I was having a conversation this last week with this dude from in a bar. We was having drinks, man. Mexican dude. He's still in the Navy. I'm retired. Then he said, man, I gotta confess, Floyd beat him easy. And he started crying. He been holding that shit all his life.
Man.
That he knew 10 years. He knew years ago that Floyd beat him easy. He been carrying that shit in his soul, saying the opposite forever just because he's Mexican, man. When I finally broke it down to him, I said, man, look at this, man. I said, we watched 3 rounds. I said, that was the whole fight. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Floyd did that shit all night. There's no way that he won. That nigga, I saw tears well up in his eyes. This shit made me uncomfortable. I'm like, bro, I don't know you like that for you to be having these tears at the bar. You know what I'm saying? But he said, man, I've always known that. And the floodgates is caved, bro.
Damn. I'm not surprised. So you
gotta understand, the Mexican fan base was scarred by Floyd Mayweather Jr., man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they say shit they don't mean. They don't mean that. They know Floyd is that nigga. But when they talk boxing, they feel like it's part of their blood and heritage to not like this nigga, man.
Yep.
I guess who's getting that treatment now? Errol Spence.
Yep.
Because Errol Spence, got to understand, before Errol Spence booked Mikey like that, Mexicans was fucking with Errol Spence. What?
Yep.
They was fucking with him like he has a Mexican style. And now all of a sudden, since Floyd whooped that nigga, these niggas want Floyd, they want Errol Spence to lose so goddamn bad. What?
Well, see, you know why I go to that fight? Because people say Spence don't have skills. If you want to see Spence's skills, just look at the Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, and Lamont Peterson fights. Those 3 fights, they show you Earl Spence's skills on display because when he was fighting Lamont Peterson, he was fighting a highly skilled boxer and he was beating the highly skilled boxer to his punches, his comfortable spots, and his angles. This was how Spence was breaking him down, but he was doing it with thudding power. So it didn't look smooth, but it was pedigree boxing ability. When he fought Danny Garcia, he was out counter punching Danny Garcia, beating him to that. And when he was beating up Mikey Garcia, he was showing not only back foot prowess ability, he was also showing that he could fight going backwards and still punish this guy. This guy threw over 1,000 punches on the back foot. He didn't even go completely front foot style on Mikey Garcia, and he embarrassed him.
Yeah,
I mean, this is ridiculous.
He carried Mikey Garcia, man.
Yep.
He carried him. Cause I think Spence was like, okay, I can whoop him bad, but if I stop him now, I can't get none of his fan base because niggas will already be mad that I stopped him. You know why Floyd gave Earl Spence those cues. Floyd knew what he was doing. He did that because he didn't like the idea of people calling. Floyd never likes comparisons. So he didn't like the idea of someone saying, unless the comparison is deserved, like Earl Spence, he don't care about you saying that. You know, it has to be deserved. But someone like Mikey Garcia calling him the Mexican Mayweather, that's why you saw Mayweather was giving Earl Spence the cues, just box him. Because Floyd just wanted to see for 12 rounds Spence just punish him, man. He didn't want him to just get him out of there, man. Floyd knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly. Just boxing, man, because if you stop him, they gonna say, "Oh, you stop him just because you're bigger than him." But if you box him, then there's no proof. It's kind of like Bivol did the same thing. Bivol, if Bivol could have pushed it and got Canelo out of there, Bivol said, "You know what? I'm not impressed. I don't really see the boxer everybody else is." And went in there and embarrassed Canelo.
Embarrassed him. He went in there. You know how you could tell he was gonna win that fight. He had the ultimate confidence in knowing the opponent that he was fighting. He knew, and I said this, man. It was a controversial video. I said this shit in 2019. I told people Canelo was flat-footed. I told people Canelo doesn't have no head movement. I told people he's there to be hit after a while, and he basically burns out after 6 rounds.
Burns out the
And that's
6 rounds.
exactly what happened in that
Yeah.
fight. He burned out after 6 rounds. He was flat-footed, and his head movement was crap because he was getting hit left and right. He was getting tagged up. He was trying to do Floyd's head move. How you try to do Floyd's head movement, and every time you do the head movement, you eating a punch, man?
And that's the thing. That's how you can tell these motherfuckers don't be watching the whole Floyd fight. They just be watching the highlights. When Floyd in a fight, if you catch him while he's doing some shit, he stopped doing that shit immediately.
Immediately.
This nigga kept doing this shit. Instead of getting hit, put your hands up. Do not call like that.
Floyd would stop doing it, and then Floyd would switch up the stance. He'll readjust. He'll reset his foot, readjust his foot, and then you thinking he's boxing you at the same rhythm. He's boxing now at a different rhythm, and that throws the fighter off. It just throws him off.
And then if you catch him too many times, he just walk you down. He put his hands up and just walk you down. Go back to all the true fundamentals and beat the fuck out of you like he did Shane Moses.
The only fight where Floyd had to really put his hands up because he was getting tagged up was the Miguel Cotto fight, because he was actually fighting a guy that really could box. And Miguel Cotto came with his best. This is how you know when you fighting against the best, you're always gonna bring out your best. Miguel Cotto came to that fight the way Sean Porter came to Earl Spence's fight. He came so prepared.
Right.
And you know what was the irony in both those fights? The irony in both those fights was Floyd wasn't physically at his best. Earl wasn't physically at his best when they fought those fights. That's what a lot of people understand, because Floyd had a lot of crap going on. It was going to be towards the end of that situation with that chick that ended up getting with Nelly. He had a lot of crap going on. He was getting ready to go to jail. He had a lot of crap going on outside behind the scenes that really took his mind away, but he still found a way to get that W. And with Earl fat camp and just, look, man, I just know I can beat Sean Porter. Like, Earl just knew his skills was just better than Sean Porter. So he really, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Looking at that fight against Sean Porter, and that's how you could tell Terence Crawford fans, they don't know what the hell they talking about. They need to sit there and say, well, damn, if it was the Spence against Ugas that fought Porter, ooh.
Right. He would have stopped him. He would have stopped him because, let's be honest, Sean Porter had a good poker face, but Sean Porter was getting hurt throughout that fight.
Yeah.
To the body, it was taking a toll on him, man. But I'll tell you this much. The reason why I still got respect, even though he was saying some of the dumbest shit on his podcast, the reason why I got respect for him is because Sean Porter not even no boxer, man. He a football player. He is.
He is, yeah.
He made himself into a world champion off sheer will.
But here's the thing, and you're gonna laugh at that too. Earl was a football player too.
yeah. But I also think Earl's a natural. Yeah, natural. Sean Porter still moves like a football player.
Yeah. Now I know what you mean.
Yeah, he still like Sean Porter was no natural. Sean Porter was forced to do this because his daddy needed a paycheck.
Yeah.
The daddy said, "Man, listen, I'm taking care of you. Listen, you gonna earn your keep around this bitch."
Yep.
Man, they say you're not getting drafted to the NFL. You got a box, man. You already know you can take a hit. You was a running back. So
well, why do you think Sean Porter's dad wanted Earl Spence instead of Sean Porter? Because they have similar backgrounds with the whole football, but it's just the fact that he knew that Earl Spence had the capabilities, because he saw that in the Olympics, to listen to all his cues and to listen to all of his coaching instructions. Right. If it was totally up to him training Earl Spence, he wouldn't have no critiques. I think Kenny Porter would feel like his job was complete as a trainer. Like, what would he have to say negative about Spence? Because Spence would be doing all of the things that he's asking him to do, and then some, as a trainer. And see, this is why I know Spence will beat Terence Crawford, because that's his specialty. All airfield fighters have specialties. Andre Ward's specialty, because to me he's an airfield fighter, is Andre Ward is a master of utilities. He is a utilities man. He will use whatever utilities or whatever style of fight he needs for that fight. Andre Ward doesn't have his own style. Andre Ward has a multitude of so many other boxer styles that he
Right.
uses depending on the fight. One fight he'll fight like Bernard Hopkins. One fight he'll fight like kind of like a slower Roy Jones. One
Mhm.
fight he'll fight like Floyd Mayweather. One fight he'll fight like James Toney. Andre Ward fights like that. He's a utilities man. He
Mhm.
uses whatever style is going to make him win that night. And
Yep.
that's what he's the master at. Floyd's mastership is the fact that Floyd is a human CompuBox. He's a human computer. He's sitting there looking at everything like it's the Matrix, like he's Neo. He's seeing
Right.
all of these green numbers and all of these green when he's fighting you.
Right.
Okay, here's the weakness in your arm. Here's the strength in this arm here. And
Right.
he's dissecting all of that and he's breaking all of that down. And then by round 3 or 4, it's like the whole Matrix screen. It's like a bunch of Mr. Smith throwing punches, and then you see Neil just all of them are missing. That's Floyd
Right.
for you.
Right.
Earl, his specialty is I'm just gonna keep putting this element of putting you under pressure. I'm gonna keep
Right.
making you crumble under this thing of pressure. And if you're not crumbling, I'm gonna keep it's like I'm gonna keep throwing water down on you, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
keep throwing deep water on you, and I'm gonna keep drowning you. It's like you're constantly being drowned by a boxer, and then you constantly eating water at the same time. So you have no time to resuscitate
Right.
because water is being force fed down you over and over and over and over again. So the resuscitation element, the element of you being able to revive yourself, is completely gone
Right.
because you have to constantly deal with that.
Right. And that's the thing, man. And it's hilarious to sit back, right, and see people waffle around like in desperation. They said the most desperate person at any time is someone who's drowning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they just want help, right? You could
Yep.
throw a motherfucker plastic water bottle that's drowning, they're gonna reach out and grab it,
Exactly.
even though it can't do nothing for them. So
Yeah.
when when the when the Keith Thomases of boxing, not Keith Thurman's of boxing come out talk about they still want to fight with Earl. Here come the Bud fans like, yeah, he should fight him. He's
Yep.
like what? Fight him for
Yep.
what?
Yep.
Y'all stalling another man's ass whooping.
Yep.
That's sad. You ain't
Yep.
gotta take the punches. Y'all, they are like they gotta take the punches. You ain't gonna be in there. The
Yep.
problem is Bud Crawford fan base is afraid for Bud, man. They're afraid for Bud.
I've drowned underwater. It's not a good feeling, man. I'm telling you.
I don't know.
You
He was
know,
desperate.
when you drowning underwater, man, and you dealing with the constant pressure of the pound of water coming down on you over and over again, you're gonna lose, man. I had to be resuscitated back. So that I know firsthand what that feels like. That's why I know Terence Crawford is not gonna be able to handle that because Spence's punch is basically a wave of water coming at you, and he's throwing, and that's what people don't say. You gotta visualize a wave of water. Like, let's say Terence Crawford is the surfer. Let's say he is an experienced swimmer. Let's give him even surfer capabilities. And that big wave come, that big tidal wave come, and it just washes the surfer. And people are like, what the hell happened to the surfer? He's not resurfacing. It's because in that wave of water, there was like 3 or 4 more waves deeper than that wave that just took him. And it
Yeah.
went with him. And then people are wondering, where the heck is this person at? And this person is now dealing with 4 waves of water, of pressure, basically coming down on his body. And it's not until those waves settle that he can swim away from it. So now imagine Earl Spence, a constant wave of punches coming at you, where the wave is never stopping. So when is the water ever going to settle for you to reset?
What I like exactly what I like to think about it is, when they issue a thunderstorm warning or they
Mm-hmm.
issue a hurricane warning, right?
Yeah.
Or people just not paying attention to the news, and it's a fucking imminent hurricane coming. But
Yep.
people still, but the one motherfucker that still carry his ass, that still carry his ass outside, and they just standing there getting hit over and over and over again by the
Yep.
water.
Yep. or he got caught, or he got caught in one of those tornadoes within the hurricane, and then people are like, "Wait, he was there," and then 1 second they're like, Where did he go?"
Right. Or it's more so like the fucking news reporter who they sent out there basically to die. They got a report on the shit, and then they said they're struggling with all the fucking rain. And then that big ass pole hit the shit out of them.
And then you hear technical difficulties. We know why
Right.
there was a technical difficulty, because they were scared.
Right. They like, is this motherfucker alive? That pole just knocked the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think about it. I'm like, bro, just the thought of Errol Spence and Terence Bud and Crawford fighting get Crawford fans in a frenzy.
Yep.
If they being honest, they do not want the fight to happen. That's why
Mhm.
that's why they so cool. That's why they so cool. This motherfucker making all these excuses. They don't want to see him lose like that.
They don't want to have to deal with you. They don't want to have to deal with me, man. That's what they don't want to-
That's it. And that's going to show you how weak people have become. That's going to show you how weak people have become. Back in the early 90s, there was people on Dallas I like. There was people on the 49ers I like. But I wanted Dallas to win. I did not watch the fight because I knew that Dallas wasn't going to win. I knew that the 49ers was going to win that year because the 49ers had Deion.
Yep.
I was like, damn. But I still watched it anyway because I was like, man, cause I want to see greatness. You know what I'm saying? So I still watch. These motherfuckers would rather not see a great fight just because they don't want they're like bras, man. They don't want to face reality. They don't want to face reality. The big bitches be getting put out on the streets because they ain't open up their fucking bills. Because they ain't want to look at the bills.
Exactly.
So now they ain't paying the bills and now they ain't got no lights and shit.
Yep.
You got to face reality. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I like in his fan base too, is the motherfuckers who don't want to accept the reality. The reality is there's a reason why the fighter you love, the fighter you've been bragging about, is not so adamant about this fight all of a sudden.
Yep.
What happened to the bravado? What happened to all the arrogance? What happened to the confidence?
You know why? Because they saw Manny Pacquiao, who they was a beloved fighter of. They were talking trash about Manny Pacquiao. They were saying, man, Manny Pacquiao, he's going to, when he fights Earl Spence, man, he's going to throw punches and bunches. And the fact that they saw Eudenis Ugas, a guy who they actually saw what Earl Spence did to Eudenis Ugas.
What?
They put 2 and 2 together and they saw that whole dichotomy and they said, you know what? Thank goodness Earl Spence did not fight Manny Pacquiao, because we don't even know if Manny Pacquiao would have been spoon-fed after that fight. We don't even know that. And then they saw Canelo Alvarez get beat up by Dimitri Bivol. A lot of upsets happened. And here's the thing. Not only those two fighters, they also saw their beloved Teofimo Lopez get beat up by George Kambosos. There was a lot of humble pie that happened in boxing, man. A lot of humble pie.
A lot of niggas got humble. A lot of motherfuckers got humble. And that's the thing. That's a part of boxing. But you got to be a weak motherfucker to be scared to watch it. It's a part of the sport. It's like Kobe going into the Phoenix Suns playoff when he ain't really had nobody. I knew deep down that he's supposed to lose because these guys way better than him. It's just Kobe. But I still watched anyway.
Yeah.
I still watched anyway. You know what I'm saying?
And realistically, the team that he had, the thing that I liked about Kobe was such a great player that even when the odds was against him, I just believed he was still gonna win. Right. Because I just felt like Kobe was there. Like he made me believe that way. And you're right. From a realistic standpoint, he didn't have a chance. He did not have a chance, because when you look at that Phoenix Suns Steve Nash squad, they're supposed to beat the Lakers. But Kobe just has this aura about him that you just believe he can do it.
He almost pulled it off.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like me. I always have an intuitive side and I always have a logic side. So logic is not supposed to work. But just my gut feeling was like, man, if he could get just a couple of good games out these motherfuckers where he don't gotta do everything, he can make this happen. He almost made it happen. Almost made it happen. He had nobody. It was just him. Literally, it was just him doing all the heavyweight lifting. So at the end of the day, I just look at it like that. Like his own fan base don't even believe in him because they supposed to be pushing for this fight.
Yep.
They're making instead of making videos that no, this fight got to happen. We got to prove once for all he better than Spence. They are taking any straw like they're drowning, and they're saying anything that comes up. Like, oh no, Errol Spence will fight Jamal Charlo. Oh man, this fight ain't gonna happen. They're not giving Crawford the money. Oh no, it's like they're going with the excuses instead of saying fuck all those excuses. This fight need to happen because they don't.
The reason why they're going with the excuses because they need to keep. You have to understand they got to keep this cash cow idea of galvanizing behind Crawford last as long as possible. So if Crawford is stalling, they got to stall too. It cuts against the grain if they challenge Terence Crawford and tell him, yo, man, you did agree to the terms. You did agree to 35%.
Right.
You basically agreed to this fight. So you need to take this fight. Or to actually challenge, because a lot of them are thinking the same way that I am thinking and the way that you're thinking in terms of this fight is supposed to happen, it's supposed to come to fruition. Right. Not thinking like the way we think all the way, but everyone is in one agreement that they want to see the fight. But they're not being bold enough to tell Terence Crawford, hey, you need to stop cutting out games and you need to step up to the plate and do your part and make sure that this fight happens. Because who's holding up the fight? It's Crawford. If Crawford says yes to everything, the fight happens.
Right.
You're not gonna get no resistance, or you're not gonna get this and that from Earl Spence. I knew the fight wasn't gonna happen when I didn't see that they were definitively training. This is how you could tell when a fight is not happening. Because when a fight is about to happen, you could already start hearing and seeing that fighters are going to start training. There's going to be a real actual training camp. And you're going to see press conference, an official press conference is going to be made. When you don't hear none of that stuff, come on, man. It's hearsay.
Yeah, he's scared, man. What I mean by scared is he scared to get punched in the face? No. But he knows after this fight, all the ESPN fake ass pound for pound list, that shit out the window.
Yeah.
He know all it his little star power that he got, his spark is over with because his spark had a lot to do with him insinuating that Errol Spence was ducking him.
Earl Spence is Terence Crawford is not stupid because Terence Crawford knows this fight will define his career, because when Spence punishes him, it's going to show that his whole fight, his whole career was really what it was, up in flames. It was smoke and mirrors. It was not a real boxing career, because of the fact that the guy that he actually fought that really was real competition embarrassed him. And this is why I don't understand, if you're a real actual Earl Spence fan, how you cannot see how this fight is actually one of the easiest fights that Earl Spence has fought in years, man. This is one of his easiest fights. I'm being honest when I say that. It's one of his easiest. I've gone as far as to say that Terence Crawford is the black Mikey Garcia. That's how I liken this fight. It's easy, man. I don't see nothing about this fight as hard.
If you ain't already did it, make that into a series, dog. If you ain't already make that into Terence Crawford, the black Mikey Garcia. Because you gotta think about it. Terence Crawford ain't that much more skilled than you did as Ugas.
Nope.
Terence Crawford ain't nowhere near as big as you did as Ugas.
Mm-hmm.
You did as Ugas and Errol Spence. They real welterweights. They for the welterweight division, they got big shoulders. There's some big boys in there thumping.
Yep.
Ugas hit Errol Spence flush when Errol Spence thought they had broke. The ref did a bad job. You got to get in there and break it.
Facts.
He hit him flush, and Errol Spence was stunned like for 3 seconds and ate it. And was
Yep.
back to fighting. So
Yep.
Crawford don't stand a chance.
No, he doesn't. And you know how you could say Terence Crawford is the black Mikey Garcia? Because Terence Crawford was hoping. I don't know if you remember that moment. He was really vocal when Spence was fighting Mikey Garcia. And he had some things that he was saying about Mikey that he felt Mikey would have had more of a upper advantage over Spence, is because he really wanted Mikey to put Spence in a position to where Mikey Garcia had some success. Because if that actually happened, then it would have given him more confidence to feel like he would have been able to handle Spence better. But that didn't happen. And you notice when that didn't happen, he just was for a loss of words, man. He was for a loss of sorts. Like, I just can't believe that Spence did what I didn't even think he could do. Like, even he was shocked because he didn't think Spence was going to box him the way that he did. He thought it was going to be oh, well, I'm just going to use my size and I'm just going to knock him out. That's what everybody was expecting. See, Spence was in a damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if Spence knocks out Mikey Garcia, they're going to say, well, Spence, that's what we expected. He's the bigger fighter. He can't box. All he could do is punish. But then he goes and he boxes Mikey Garcia for 12 rounds. Oh, he doesn't have any power. And then he goes so many years later and he proves that the power has always been there because he fights a guy bigger than anybody he's fought since Kell Brook and Dennis Ugas and stopped him. So was the power not there, or was he choosing in that fight to fight in a stance to make a point and prove a point?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, man. But nobody took into consideration that majority of the people, this is how you know you got power. It's different types of power. There's explosive kinetic power like a Deontay Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cumulative power like Errol Spence, right? And there's a sharp accuracy type power like a Muhammad Ali and an Errol Spence, to where the accuracy of their punch makes it that much harder because they hit you right where you need to get hit with just enough amount of power to stun you. You know what I'm saying? It's different types of powers.
And then there's that fast twitching, you don't see it coming type power. Because that's how Tank gets a lot of people out of there. Tank will hit somebody with a fast twitching punch. Once he realizes and he's able to break you down, you realize the punch that'll get you out of there. He throws it at such a fast twitching pace, and it comes with so much heavy hand that you're like, what the hell just happened? A lot of times I have to go back and look at the remake on Tank's punch to see how he dominated the dude, man, because it's so fast twitching, man. In real time, your eyes won't catch it. You got to catch it on that replay, man.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So there's different powers, but that's how you know people live in their own. People create the world that allows them to be comfortable. If that makes sense. They create the world in their mind where they're a star. They create the world in their mind to where the person they like is the best, even though there's no tangible evidence of that. You know what I'm saying? So in these people's minds, they have created a world where Spence got no power. You know how delusional you gotta be to ignore the fact that damn it, everybody this dude fight gotta retire.
Yep. And you know it's interesting that you said that because when you look at the fight with Rolly Romero, when I listen to all of the back noise, I couldn't really hear the power behind the punch. But when I saw how they did the inside cam view, and I did a shorts where I actually was able to hear the power, I could hear Rolly Romero's head crack when Tank finally hit him. Because you can't see it in real time because the fast twitching muscles and everything. But when they slow that thing down and you really could get the sound bit, and that's how you could see why when he was walking outside the ring, his legs were still gone.
Yeah.
His dad and them had to hold him and make him walk.
They had to hold him up.
Tank took his whole legs from him, man.
Right. He essentially had a concussion.
Yep.
Whenever you like that, because the thing is, you could be buzzed and you lose your legs. you could be buzzing, you could regain it all back. But when you
Yep.
get a concussion,
Yep.
your ass like that for a couple of days, man. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Because you gotta understand one thing: the concussion is a brain injury. It ain't
Yep.
just your lights got cut off real quick because you got buzz in your chin. It's you got hit so hard to your brain rattle.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Your brain.
Terence Crawford's ego, the ego that he has, and the way that Terence Crawford carries himself, he cannot lose to Earl Spence. Because if he loses to Earl Spence with that ego that he has and his mindset, he knows that Terence Crawford just knows without a shadow of a doubt that it's gonna mess with him, man. Some people, you could just tell the way that their mind is made up, their makeup. A loss will end them. They won't ever be the same anymore. Because this is a guy who's confident. This is a guy who carries himself a certain way. This is a guy who has a certain type of demeanor in the way that he comports himself from a boxing standpoint. So to imagine him lose in that fashion and to imagine him get knocked out in that way, oh, he's done. You can forget it, man. He would never be the same person ever again. If I'm being honest, he would never be that person ever again.
No, he won't.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Cause let's be perfectly honest. Terence Crawford never been that motherfucker.
Nope.
Like Errol said, this shit was all smoke and mirrors, man.
Exactly.
And that's another reason why he's delaying this fight. Because imagine getting whooped by the nigga that exposed your whole career. It's like some years ago. Who said that all the shit I think about Errol Spence, that shit ain't nothing, man. Errol Spence ain't nothing, man. This just smoke and mirrors. He ain't really fight like that. So imagine getting whooped by that nigga who did it.
Yep. This would be, I'm gonna be honest with you. This would be for Terence Crawford. This would be the biggest lesson in life that he learns, to never call somebody out. Because he's been calling this person out all these years, talking all this trash, saying this and saying that. And then that person turns around and ends up ending his boxing career and retiring him at that, crippling him. Because I'm being honest with you, man. The reason why there's something that is creepy, grimy, and glitzy about someone who does not talk. There's something creepy about it.
Right.
Especially when they know the fight is about to happen and then they become more and more quiet. People don't realize the power of silence, man. Silence can make a person that's already scary way more scarier, because Terence Crawford doesn't know how to penetrate Errol Spence's mind. So he doesn't know how to deal with that. He knows what's coming, but he doesn't know how it's coming. He doesn't know the pace in which it's coming. He doesn't know the menace that of the type of shark that Earl Spence is, and how he's going to come in and break down Terence Crawford. And that scares him, man, because that's why he's trying to do this talking. He's trying to get Spence to get out of character so that he can have something. But Spence ain't giving him shit. And I love it. It's scaring the shit out of Bud, man.
Right. You can understand one thing, because Bud has that female mentality. You know how females is. They can't stand for you just to be quiet to yourself.
Yep.
Because they mind, they so insecure. When you quiet, you just chill. They say, "Oh, he thinking about leaving me."
Facts.
They think the worst shit when you quiet.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like, "Oh, he's quiet. Is something wrong with you? Are you good?" It's more so he's quiet. I mean, he ain't happy. He finna leave. So that's where you get the beta male mentality, to where you just need somebody energy from them. Like, you need energy from them. You need, even if it's negative, you just got to argue with them. That's what women do. You say you're trying to gossip your way into an argument with a grown ass man.
Yep.
What? That's what your baby mama do, or some petty shit.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. At the end of the day, I believe this fight has to happen. If this fight don't happen, like Terence Crawford, like, who you gonna fight? If he don't fight Errol Spence, who's gonna watch the fights, right? This fight got to happen, but I'm not above saying Terence Crawford will do a bitch ass move and just stop and just retire. I'm not above saying that he will do that, because it's very weird for me to hear you say Mind you, you said you had aspirations of being the greatest, but now all of a sudden you saying, truth be told, I don't even need that Errol Spence fight. If I retire right now, I'm gonna go to the Hall of Fame. Who talk like that?
Well, here's the thing. When people do things, sometimes you have to, me and you were the masters of telling people that. You gotta watch people's body language and watch their actions. Their body language and actions tell you everything. He go to the Hall of Fame ceremony. So when he said what he said after he
Right,
went to the Hall of Fame ceremony, he's basically alluding body language wise and actions wise that this is the course of action that he's going to take because his age.
right,
I mean, the guy's going to be what, 36?
right,
So it's very clear that he is not looking in the long run or in the long haul for him to
right.
be that fighter that wants to take this. Because you got to understand, he's the one. Forget you, forget me, forget everybody else, Ross. He's the one for the rest of his life that has to deal with the fact that
These
I was
injuries.
this fighter and then I got retired by this guy. Like he has to deal with that. I don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal. We're gonna be
Right,
the ones laughing at him,
right,
but he's the one that has to deal with it.
right. Because that's what he's going through right now. He's going through. He's going through. He's going through this conundrum. Do, do I fight Errol Spence and be retired by Errol Spence in front of the world, or do I retire because of Errol Spence and have to have people say I ducked Errol Spence for the rest of my life?
Yep. Honestly, the best course of action for Terence Crawford, it's not ideal for boxing fans. Save yourself from that beating, man.
Right, vacate.
If you know you're not up to task, and you're just not gonna pull a Keith Thurman, man. It's okay. Me and Ross will clown you. We'll just
No,
call
no,
you.
no, no,
We'll
no,
call you Keith Thurman number two.
no, no, do better, Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman avoided he avoided Errol Spence, but he still held on to those belts and held on to vacate your shit.
Yep.
Vacate your belt, give it up. So Errol Spence
Yep.
can whoever get it and be undisputed.
You know why I'm gonna say he's worse than Keith Thurman because of his fan base. His fan base are the most annoying, man. I've dealt with Budman fans. You've dealt with them too. All of these years where they were saying he's the boogeyman, he's the real welterweight. Nobody, even Budman fans, didn't believe that Keith Thurman could beat Earl Spence. They would talk that noise a little bit, but they knew deep down. But these guys and this whole agenda of pushing Terence Crawford against Earl Spence and saying that Terence Crawford is that dude and when Earl Spence is not, come on, man. Come
Right.
on. All of these years of he moved up and Bud didn't make it any better for himself because he said, oh, I'm at 147 now. So you set the tone. You said you wanted to fight the best. And now in 2022, you've been put in a position to where you can fight the best. Let me tell you when Spence scared him. It wasn't the Udenis Ugas fight that scared him. It was when Earl Spence called them out by name at the end of the fight. That scared Bud because Bud didn't realize that Earl would call him out directly like that. You got to look at the
Right.
tone. Bud's tone changed. And then Earl Spence put the picture up on Instagram of him in that shark face with that
Right.
shark weapon, with that shark net, with that
Yeah.
shark kind of sharps tool, knocking down Bud's door, man. That you got to understand psychologically how that messed Terence Crawford up.
Mess him
Like,
up.
like, I'm not afraid of you, dude. You next.
So you next. And not only am I not afraid of you, but I've been planning this all along to leave you for the last kill.
Yep.
I've been planning this. Like, bro, like you up next to you the next one to get retired.
Yep.
So what's good? What's you doing? Like, what's happening? Ever since then, all of a sudden, I don't really need this fight. Errol Spence need me. He need me. You know what he's saying? He need me to be undisputed. I don't need him. I can just retire. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
like what he don't realize. Like, yeah, it's a lot of motherfuckers in Boxing Hall of Fame, but are they spoken or are they living legends? You'll be in the Hall of Fame, all right, if you retire. But you won't be no living legend. You'll just be another one of the boxers in the Hall of Fame, and motherfuckers got to ask several questions to figure out who you really is.
Yep.
Bud, you remember Bud? Bud.
Yep.
You know, the one that fought Gamboa. Oh, oh, motherfuckers gonna be saying, oh, like, oh, I remember that guy. You ain't gonna be
Yep.
no, he ain't gonna be no living legend.
Yep.
So yeah, you know what I mean. That's the thing right there. Bud know deep in his heart, he don't got no fucking chance.
Yep. Yep.
He know he don't got no chance, man. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? That's all I really got for this, though.
That's all, man. Listen, man. I don't have too much more for this, but I'm gonna tell you like this, and I'm gonna make it clear because I think we hit the nail on the head, and this was a timely live that we needed to break this thing down, and people needed to hear our voice. They needed to hear what we had to say because they were just tired of the foolery and they were tired of the nonsense.
Right.
But the biggest thing is Terence Crawford is afraid, man. He's petrified and he's scared. And this fight right here, damn what he knows got to say. Damn what Tom Ross got to say. Damn what anybody got to say. Bud is the one that got to live with this. Bud is the dude that's damn near in his 40s and 50s having midlife crisis, sitting on that toilet, wishing that he never called out Earl Spence. Because the beating he's going to get from that fight, he's the one that has to live with that on that toilet. And all of these people that you saw that was supporting him, galvanizing behind him, they're going to not only get away from the ship because that's what they're known for doing. They're cowards. They're gonna run away from the ship. They're gonna say, "Well, Bud was too old. Bud was this." Listen, man, Terence Crawford is not too old from a boxing standpoint. 35 years old. I don't even want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit.
First of all, if you're using it as an excuse that you ain't great, then
yep.
So some of the greatest fighters didn't have that fight that they known for until it was 36.
Some of Floyd's best fights were in his mid to late 30s, so I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. Some of Muhammad Ali's best fights was in his mid to late 30s. Right. Like you can go down the list of fighters, all of them, Mike Tyson, all of them. So I don't even want to hear it that you was too old. And that's what they're trying to run with because Spence is not too far away from him. Spence is about to be what, 33? So I don't want to hear it, man. I really don't want to hear it.
First of all, if you was too old, then your ass knew that. Your ass knew that some years ago. And if that's the case, if you was too old, you should have retired. You should have fought then. That's the reason why I don't let nobody say Pacquiao was too old when he fought. No, he should have retired, man. That ain't no excuse.
Yeah, but Floyd, and the reason why that one's counterproductive is because Floyd is 2.5 years older than him. So that's stupid.
Oh yeah, that was always done. I'm talking about you did this guys.
Oh, okay.
They care about videos talking about no. If Pac-Man was 35, he wins. I was like, man, listen, that's not an excuse. If he felt like he was too old, he should have got in there.
Well, he wasn't too old when he beat Keith Thurman, so he wasn't too old when he fought Dennis Ugas. So I don't want to hear it.
Right. Once you get in there, it ain't no too young or too old. Your ass in there, man. You
and Pac-Man's mistake that he made was when you fought Keith Thurman, you should have known that you can't be taken at that age that much of a layoff.
Right. Hell no.
In between. Because that right there was gonna really mess with your activity rate. It was gonna mess with your first step. It was gonna mess with everything. If you aged overnight, those 2.5 years was going to be a telltale that you should have not took time off. And that's what he did. He took time off and he paid the piper for it. So it is what it is.
And here's another thing. Motherfuckers don't want to admit right here. It when it comes to Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Bud. When you sit there, before you take the fight, you fill out a questionnaire and you get a physical. On the physical, you got to put your name down there. You got to put today's date, and you got to put your age and your weight. Would you put your age on that contract? Said you just old. So there ain't no excuse. You did that.
Exactly.
You signed your signature. Sign it over your nature. You sign your nature to that contract saying, "Man, I'm going to do this." No one. You was this age, so ain't no excuse for you to go in there. You get whooped, man.
Exactly.
I'll say, "Oh yeah, this guy I was too old." Okay, if that was the case, man, you know that's your life, your health. You endanger yourself for what? You knew you could have win this fight because you're too old. Why you take it?
Exactly.
Ain't no excuse, man. Gotta hold these boxers to their level. And here's another thing. I've heard Bud fans say Bud more skilled than Floyd. The Bud better than Floyd. Okay, that's the case. Then he definitely can't use no age.
Yep.
Floyd was 38.
I'm
Man.
definitely,
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that fight is going to play itself out to fruition as well too. Because if you guys are going to go as far as to say that Bud is more skilled than Floyd, then that means Earl is supposed to be missing, and that means Earl is supposed to be looking bad.
right.
But that's not going to happen, and we know better because we've seen Terence Crawford fight marginal opponents, and we've seen him fold under the pressure, and that's why Andre Ward he's the biggest as of late. He's not even on the fence anymore. Andre Ward has pulled back a definitive of I'm gonna go with Crawford. He stopped that, man, because I think in his mind when he saw the Mean Machine fight, Andre Ward is such a student of the game. He realized, shit, if that's Spence, fuck. And then he started saying it because he made a comment where he said, man, I don't know how Terrence is gonna handle Spence's pressure. And the way he said it, the way he emphasized it, I knew he started like, okay, now he's not putting emotion into this. He's really breaking this thing down like a boxing connoisseur. Like, shit, how is Bud gonna handle this shit? Like he started putting, and then this is when you knew Andre Ward is low-key favoring Spence because he said, man, what Spence does, if you are a true fan of boxing, you could understand how Andre Ward low-key is favoring Spence when he said that. Because he said, because it's the same thing that he gets criticized for, and it was the same thing Floyd gets criticized for. Because the thing Floyd used to get criticized for was, man, it don't look that special on the outside, but when you on the inside, you realize is that what you seeing on the outside ain't what it is on the inside. That's what they used to say with Floyd. It was the same thing with Andre Ward. Andre Ward don't look like he got all that power, but when you fight him on the inside, you realize he got all this snap. Well, this is what Andre Ward said about Spence, that he kind of likened it to him and Floyd. He said, when I look at Spence fight, it just looks like he's basically giving you basic movement, but this basic technical fundamental movement, he's actually breaking guys down and he's stopping them. So there's something there. Like he actually went into a boxing breakdown of it. He was like, there's something there that's making him phonetically break these guys down. And he said, this is the stuff that's making me think when I think of the Spence versus the Crawford fight. When he said that, I said, okay, he's picking Spence to win the fight because he didn't go that far in his critique to say that about Bud. He didn't do that.
He didn't do that.
All he said was Bud is, Bud switch hit. So because he switched, how Earl's gonna handle him switching. But Andre Ward is smarter than that to realize that when you say switch, you know that if you're fighting an elite level opponent, switch don't mean shit. Because that guy has already seen that before in the Olympics. He's seen that before with other fighters. He's seen that bullshit before, man.
I'm gonna say something you probably not gonna agree with.
Go ahead.
I think Andre Ward never thought that Crawford could beat Spence, and that's what he's supposed to do because he on ESPN and Top Rank Network.
Man, I agree with you 1,000% off this last comment because I'm gonna be honest with you. Andre Ward is an airfield fighter. He don't get credit for that. Floyd Mayweather is an airfield fighter. Airfield fighters, they have this small remnant fraternity thing. Oh, salute to you, Oxtail. They have this small like fraternity type of thing where they stick together, man. I've always seen Andre always say positive things about Floyd from a boxing standpoint. I've always seen Floyd say positive things about Andre from a boxing standpoint. And I've always seen Floyd say positive things about Earl from a boxing standpoint. And anytime you've had Earl and Andre together, and they've only been together in small microcosms, they've always been friendly and they've always been positive to one another. There's never been nothing negative. And I'm going to tell you another person in Terence Crawford's camp that does not believe in Terence Crawford. That is Shakur Stevenson, because they asked Shakur Stevenson who has the best jab in boxing, and he didn't even hesitate. He said Earl Spence. And if you would have thought anybody would have bucked for Terence Crawford, you would have thought it would have been him, like that idiot Keyshawn Davis. But nah, Shakur Stevenson kept it real. He said, nah, man, Earl Spence got the best jab in boxing. So what Shakur's telling you from a boxing standpoint, from a technical and a fundamental standpoint, Crawford's in fucking trouble, man.
He in trouble,
We're
man.
honest here.
So you got to think about it. Who has Crawford ever dealt with ease that had a jab?
Nobody.
Let's think about his fights. Niggas had got to Crawford and didn't even have that good of a jab. Do y'all remember what Kell Brook was doing to that nigga? Kell Brook do got a solid jab, but it's not an Errol Spence level jab.
Nah. And Kell Brook don't even have the reach. He's like 68 inches.
So how is this happening?
Exactly. To Terence Crawford 74 inches. How the hell is that happening?
How does it happen with so much ease?
Yep.
And you don't want, because this is what Terence Crawford fighters in their mind, they believe that Bud Crawford is the one who replaced Floyd.
How? How?
That's what they think. Bud Crawford, the loser, he think that too. Bud Crawford try to come out in his fights, try to come out like with shit Floyd would wear. But instead of having TBE, he had TBC on his shit.
I think what happened to him is when he went to that Hall of Fame ceremony, he was around all of those guys. You know, when you get around guys with that aura and that cachet, and you're in a Hall of Fame speech, it messes with you because it makes you think that you're on the same page with them, especially when, you know, guys like that get to the whispering and talking. The reason why those guys are in such a good mood, it's not because of you. They don't give two flying cow fucks about you. They're being celebrated that night. So anybody that's being celebrated that night is going to be in a more emotional and in a more likable state. They're not going to be like in their boxing critique state. So that's what Terence Crawford, that's how he caught those guys. He caught those guys in that state of mind. So if you catch those people in that state of mind, of course they're going to like you. Of course they're going to be favorable to you. Of course they're going to say good things to you because they're being celebrated that night. We saw that night Floyd broke down, man, because Floyd was talking about him being polarized. So of course he's going to be more favorable to Terence Crawford that night. Come on, man.
Right, and then Crawford makes sure he go to Ghana every one of them damn things. This nigga, bro, you supposed to be, you still in the mix. Why is you going to this shit like you up next? You gonna get it eventually. You are still in the mix, boy. You know how, think about it. You know how long Floyd was retired? And
well, he's letting you know inevitably. A lot of times when people do things, subconsciously, they don't even realize they're doing things that fit exactly what is about to happen to them. He's going to a Hall of Fame ceremony because his ass is getting fucking retired. Let's be honest.
Right. That's the thing. Foreshadow.
His mind is subconsciously telling himself that he's about to be retired. So he's going to an event to basically showcase what is about to happen to him as a fighter.
Right, and that's the thing. That's the thing about these Bud Crawford fans, man. That's the thing about these motherfuckers who just be fans of lackluster motherfuckers all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
They think just because they find a fellow brother in arms that it boisters their outlook on life. Just because another nigga thinks some stupid shit, you think they'll be y'all right. Both y'all ass wrong, man. Both y'all ass stupid, man. Y'all ass ain't smart just because y'all agree on some dumb shit. Both y'all ass dumb as hell, man. So that's the thing.
And I'm glad you said that because what I find as a common thread with Bud Man fans, a lot of them are just dumb motherfuckers, man. Straight up.
Dumb. That would make no fucking sense.
I mean, have you seen them in the comment section? You can't make out half of what they're saying, man. They lack sentence structure, they lack vocabulary, they lack words. I'm like, man, I'm having a brain aneurysm trying to make out 3 words you trying to say. What are you trying to say?
The reading comprehension, these niggas struggling out here, man. You niggas struggling out here. But here's the thing though. It's like they all the same because when you think about it, everybody that's a Bud fan, they're a LeBron fan.
Exactly.
And they're a LeBron fan. Guess what? They're a Ben Simmons fan. It's like they're attracted to these niggas that's not what they're supposed to be. Bron is a phenomenal talent. I'll never take that away from him. He's just not what he built to be.
Exactly.
He's built to be something else that he's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
At best, he'll glorify Scottie Pippen, but he's not even he's not even as good defensively as Scottie. He'll glorify Scottie. You know, that's at best. So you know what I'm saying? That's the problem. These niggas, it's something in their DNA, it's something in their mental makeup that make them always want to support shit that's not what it really is. You know what I'm saying? It's like that one little nigga, it's like that one cousin that's too old to believe that wrestling's still real. You know that nigga that's 17 years old that still think wrestling real? Bro, you too old to be thinking this shit real.
Hey man, good luck with saying that to my father, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, your daddy know that same. Your daddy know that same thing. That's his joy, man. That's just his joy. But that's just his joy. But if he was being honest, he'll tell you like, nah, man, I know that shit ain't real. That's his joy. He probably just love watching. But there's some niggas who really be like, they be ready to fight you. Like, man, that shit real, man. Hey, bro, slow down, man. That shit is not real, bro. Now, when dude ass died, Bret Hart brother on Hurt, that shit was real.
Mm-hmm.
that shit was a fake. That shit was real. But the wrestler, think about it. How do these niggas get hit in their head every fucking Thursday with chairs?
Exactly. Yeah, I think they save the semi-real stuff for when people pay that thing on pay-per-view. That's the only time I think they really get hit. Because them brothers, I forgot the name of them damn brothers, but the ones that go all the way up on top of the cage and then they hit you with them damn ladders. Man, now that was like the only time I was like, man, if there was somebody getting hit, that was the only time that you could tell somebody was getting some kind of hit. And I think they only saved it because people were paying premier money at that time for those fucking events. But that was the only time. Outside of that, man, they had the script. They had everything set up. They knew who was going to win. They knew who was going to lose. And you as the wrestling fanatic was sitting there looking at it like, man, I can't believe The Rock lost, man. I can't believe Stone Cold lost. Man, they wrote that shit up, man.
They wrote that shit up. The thing about it is, do people get injured in wrestling? Yes, because you still use your body. So some of those slams, they actually is slamming motherfuckers, right? Some of the shit they actually got to do, but it's fake because it's all choreographed. That's what
it's telegraphed. And even the mats are set up to be extra bouncy.
Right.
And it's not coiled, because if it was coiled, then the motherfuckers would be injured. But they set it up to where it's kind of like, you know how on movies they have those when they have the stunt doubles or whatever, and then they put them on. Yeah, they put them on. It's kind of like a surface where they put them on. I forgot the name of that particular material, but it's a material. It's kind of like a memory foam, but it's not called memory foam. It's and it's really padded and it's soft, but it has a bouncy, springy effect to it. So when you slam somebody, it's like you slamming the person to get back up. It's not really a slam.
Right.
And that's why you see guys are able to get up so fast. Could you imagine if you really slam somebody? And you're not getting up from no damn slam that fast. Come on, man. That's
getting up from a slam to get slammed again. In real life, they just slam you 3 times in a row. The fight over.
Yeah, they getting slammed, and then the material's bouncing them right back up and springing them up. Because these guys, you gotta understand, these guys weigh like 250, 300 pounds, man. These guys that's a lot of muscle, man, a lot of weight. You can't just move your body up that fast. Like, I don't care how agile you are, man. Especially if you get slammed a certain way, it's gonna take a minute for your ass to get up. But now these guys are getting up fast.
getting
I
up
mean,
fast.
Big Show. When I saw Big Show get slammed and then get up in 2 seconds, come on, man, I knew that shit was fake.
Right. And these niggas be getting hit with chairs and shit, and they be running. They get hit with the chair, and they running to the pole, and then somehow they don't get carried out that bitch. They walk on their own 2 feet. You
Yeah,
know
because Big Show weigh about 400-500. There's no way that motherfucker is supposed to just be getting up and then that don't make no sense.
right. It should be choreographed so they're not really getting hurt like that.
Exactly.
But when it comes to that, people don't realize this. Floyd is an astute businessman. If you're trying to sign somebody, you gotta tell them you think they can win. You can't tell them I think you're gonna lose, but I'm trying to sign you. You gotta tell them, I think you got a chance.
Man,
you know
listen, man. Floyd was trying to double dip the situation and say, okay, well, even though you're gonna be under this banner with Mayweather Promotions, you still technically fall under the parent of PBC. So we keeping this thing all in house.
Right.
It's just I'm gonna get this side of it, and Al Heyman's just gonna get the side on Spence side, man. That's kind of the corner of the market. Instead of making Terence Crawford beat his supposed independent. But here's the thing: Terence Crawford is not independent, because I saw something that said that he's under Rock Nations. So he's technically, I think he's under Jay-Z or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he just signed. But then this where he fucked up at.
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z is not gonna go in there and try to get him a deal that he don't deserve.
Nah.
Jay-Z gonna go there and look at the numbers and say, all right, this one makes sense. Like, dude, you need to do this if you're gonna do it, because you ain't supposed to get this.
Exactly. Jay's gonna follow the same blueprint. Jay's gonna follow the same blueprint he fought. Ox got me laughing. He said remedial marsupials. Listen, man, he's gonna follow the same blueprint that he followed with Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. He looked at the numbers, like you said, and he saw that his guy, Andre Kovalev, because he was the A side option, is gonna get the lion's share. So he made sure he negotiated it that way. But he knows in this situation, Terence Crawford is B side. So he's not gonna go against the grain. And plus, him and Al Hayman, they have a history in entertainment together. This is actually an easy situation that can happen on all sides of the aisle. The only person who's not making it easy is Crawford. Because at the time when Jay-Z had Andre Ward was game. But now he has a fighter that's not game. Terence Crawford is not game because Terence Crawford is afraid, man. This guy knows exactly what's going to happen. And you know what I like about Spence? Spence is like, you know how on Friday you had Debo?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how not the first Friday, what was it, the second Friday, the one that he was stuck in the fridge with the other dude? Was it the first or the second Friday? I think it was the
second Friday was
after he came back from jail. Yeah, he was stuck in that. He was stuck in the dad's kind of like dog.
That was the third one.
Okay, that was the third one. Okay,
yeah.
So if you saw the way that Debo, the personality that Debo had, the way that Debo was so respected off of just the strength of he didn't say much.
Right.
You just knew that this motherfucker was gonna fuck you up.
Right. He owns some shit.
That's the vibe that Earl Spence gives with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford just doesn't know where he stands with Earl Spence, and it puts him in a very scary place, man. Because all he's getting is just this guy's quiet, this guy's calm, and really Earl's just quiet and calm because he just wants to go in and train and beat the shit out of you, man. He's done with all this talking. You've had all of this time to talk all these years. You said you was going to do this. You said you was going to do that. And this is when I knew Spence psychologically fucked Bud up when he said, all that talking going to stop when the bell go ding, ding, ding. That was the last tweet he sent to Bud. Yeah. And I know if I'm Bud and I'm scared of this fight, I'm thinking about that tweet over and over and over in my mind. What is this guy thinking when he told me, all I'm waiting for is for the bell to go ding, ding, ding. That means what? He gonna be on me. He gonna jump on me. He gonna pounce on me from round one. Like it's a lot going on in Bud's mind, and I think it scares the shit out of Terence Crawford, man.
Yeah, it do, because the thing about it is, Bud has nervous energy. And if you ever, let's say, if you ever been on a date with a woman who had nervous energy,
Mm-hmm.
and anytime there's a break in talking, she's gonna try to fill that air. She's gonna try to break the tension and fill that air with something. Even that's why women be sitting there talking and shit. They be saying no, nothing be making sense. They just be talking and shit
Yep.
because they are nervous, man, of your presence. So they gotta feel and you being silent. They so worried about what you thinking. They want to go ahead and get something in the air just for you to hear, so you not thinking about whatever you thinking. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? They just want to fill that shit up. That's what Bud just want. He just wants something. Just talk to me, man. Just talk to me, man. You want the energy because right now this shit making it worse. He don't know what this nigga thinking, no nothing.
Yeah, because he's looking. He wants Spence to go back and forth, and
Right,
that's how Bud plays off of the back and forth, man. Because you gotta understand, his fighting style is hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. So his mental is like that too. So
right,
if I'm jabbing at you, I need you to verbal jab back at me. That's how he was able to gain an advantage over Jose Benavidez because Jose Benavidez fell into his trap. Jose Benavidez had the style to beat Bud in that fight. If Jose Benavidez would have just not talk as much,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Jose Benavidez allowed his mind to be broken down by whatever Bud said, and Bud ended up having a mental edge over him, and that's how Bud won that fight. But if you look at that fight, if Jose Benavidez would have stayed quiet just a little bit more leading up to the fight and in the fight, he was doing shit in that fight where he was dismantling Terence Crawford. He was disrupting him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just fell for the head games. Another fighter that fell for the head games, but he was already way over the hill, was Amir Khan. But I'm telling you right now, if Amir Khan was the Amir Khan that fought Danny Garcia, that fought Terence Crawford would have been in a world of trouble, man, in that fight. He would have that speed of
Right,
Amir Khan would have messed him up. It would have
right.
messed him up bad.
Because he don't have the fundamentals to deal with the speed.
Yep.
Crawford, the way of fighting is whatever you're doing, I'm gonna try to outdo you at it. Instead of saying this is what I do good and this is like you know what I mean. That's why he be getting caught by everybody. Everybody Crawford fight at some point in the fight they catch him with something nasty.
Yep.
Everybody, man, everybody catch Crawford, man. That shit
Everyone.
easy. Crawford like the common cold. He like the flu. Millions of people catch that shit every year, man.
Yeah.
That shit is not easy to get. He's not easy to catch. Niggas like man, he the second coming of Floyd. Where? This nigga always get hit. What's he talking
Yep.
about? The second coming of Floyd. His defense better than Errol. How? Niggas don't just be landing punches on Errol Spence like that.
Man, listen, man. When I have to think of his opponents, Victor Postal, Raimundo Beltran, Hank Lundy, I'm sitting here and I'm like, these are journeymen, man. If these guys fought Earl Spence would retire these guys, man. He would cripple these guys out of the sport. And these are the guys that he's fighting. It's like Terence Crawford was given opposition that Earl Spence fought early on in his career.
Early
You know
on.
how when you fight early on in your career, they just give you these fights to build you up and to make you a stronger fighter and to make you a better fighter. And you're using these fights, they're like stay busy fights to build you up. You learn the experience. You went 12 rounds. You're supposed to be getting these fights early on in your professional career, not towards the middle and then the later part. This is what he was getting. And
Terrence,
Bob Arum, Bob Arum didn't believe in Terence Crawford so much, he kept making those opponents worse and worse. So Bud could look even more special, man.
Terrence Crawford was getting those Rocky fights right before Rocky fought Drago, and he had to check everybody. Like, listen, I know y'all putting me in fights. I think I can win. He got mad at the truth that he wasn't nice like that no more.
Yep.
He getting those Rocky fights, man. That
Yep.
shit crazy, man.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is like the operative thing here. Terence Crawford is the equivalent of a fighter that he was built up a certain way only to get that major downfall, man.
Yeah.
You know, Mayweather has said it. He said, you have a minor setback for a major comeback. Well, see, it's the opposite for Terence Crawford. He has this major situation going on, but he has this minor situation going on, but he's gonna have a major setback, man. I'm telling you
Right.
right now. Because when Spence cripples this dude, he has to live with that. I want to see. I don't care about the end of the fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. You like, man, you gonna be happy. You gonna be smiling. Yeah, I'm gonna be laughing. I'm gonna be doing all of that. I want to see Terence Crawford 2-3 months after that fight. I really want to see what he's like after, because
Do you know where he gonna see him at?
oh, I
You
already
gonna
know
see
where
him,
I'm gonna see him at.
you gonna see him on ringside ESPN
No,
talking
no,
boxing.
no, 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 no,
He
no,
gonna
no,
be
no, no, no.
retired.
I'm gonna tell you who's gonna interview him, because this dude is dirty. Because he did the same shit to Mikey Garcia 28 days later.
Uh,
Fight hype. Fight hype is gonna find a way.
yeah,
They like, to me, they like the TMZ of boxing. They
right.
gonna find a way to want to see what Terence Crawford looked like 30, 60 days later after the Spence fight. And that dude is so dirty. He puts the microphone in your face, and he
Right.
puts the camera in your face in such a way to where you can see everything. And I want to see the slurred speeches. I want to see Terence Crawford's disorientation. I want to see the delay. I want to see everything,
Right. That's what's gonna happen.
because that's what's going to happen. You're going to hear this dude talking in ways you're going to be like, what the hell? Is this even Bud that's talking? Because that's what happened with Mikey Garcia. I kid you not. Every other word that was coming out of Mikey Garcia's mouth, he was convulsing. He was spitting. You could tell he was still suffering CTE protocol, man.
Cause think about it is after those motherfuckers get that CTE, it's kind of like they tongue get big as hell in their mouth.
Yeah.
It's like they can't talk because they tongue in a way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like like damn, like he did all that. But think
He
about
looked like he needed to be admitted in a mental institution, man.
think about what Crawford already slow as hell. He
Woo.
already slow as hell because so if you haven't been watching Crawford for a while, you gonna think this regular Crawford because he already be talking stupid as well. You gonna think he's sleepy or something like, oh, he just sleepy. You ain't gonna know
Oh
that he
man.
really suffering CTE because he always say dumb shit.
There's gonna be something, you know how it's gonna be obvious, because there's not gonna be that you know how Crawford has that confident smile, even though he just sounds delayed. You ain't gonna see nothing like that. You're gonna see a very stoic look on his face, and you're gonna see a guy that looks like the way James Toney is. You see when James Toney is interviewing, he looks like he doesn't even know where the fuck he's at. It's gonna
Right.
be like that.
All James Tony know is Floyd overrated and Errol Spence ain't all that. That's all he's always
Exactly.
saying. He
And
always saying all
stuttering.
that.
And stuttering every word, and then want to tell you, oh man, I got the real shoulder roll. If you got the real shoulder roll, then why your speech is delayed?
There's no way you get the real shoulder roll, man. You sound like you permanently drunk.
Exactly. I would not be bragging about I had the real shoulder roll
Right.
if I'm sounding punch drunk like that, man.
Stop doing it. Stop doing that to yourself. Nigga always talking about he had the shoulder roll. Like, bro, your ass got knocked out how many times? How many times did your ass get? They think people don't realize the shoulder roll is not built for heavyweight boxing
Nope.
because them niggas hit hard enough to break your shoulder.
Yep.
They hit hard enough to, even though the punch don't land, to permanently injure you. So yeah, you catching all
Hmm.
the punches on the side of your head off the gloves, but those punches really hurt, man.
Yep.
Those punches you catching, you blocking are catastrophic.
Yep.
You get brain damage, but the nigga ain't landing no clean punches. You fucked up off those block punches.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck made him go all the way to heavyweight. Just stop. Him
Yep.
and Roy Jones, they both are some motherfucking fools for that.
I'm glad you said that, because because what people don't understand is, when you sit there and you look at Terence Crawford, you then have to ask yourself, okay, what is it about this dude that makes him what people say that he is. And then when you ask yourself that question, if you're asking yourself that question and things are not adding up, then you have to even go deeper and say, okay, is Terence Crawford not only the fighter that people say he is, does his resume match up? Then you got to go even farther to say, okay, what about his promoter? Because let me tell you something about promoters. When a promoter believes in you, they will invest all the money in you. They will put the backing behind you. They will give you all the advances. They will make you look like a superstar. Listen, man, Bob Arum believed so much in Tyson Fury, even though Tyson Fury wasn't all that way to be cracked up what he was, that he did everything for that dude. That was the most unlazy I've ever seen Bob Arum in recent time when it was Tyson Fury. But with Terence Crawford, he didn't go above and beyond for him. He didn't move a leg. He made Bomac be the one to be kind of like the go-between, the talk for Terence Crawford. He just felt like, look, man, I've given you the fight that you want. It's in boring-ass Omaha. You're in your hometown. You got everything that you need. All you just need to do is show up and fight your fight.
Right.
And every time Terence Crawford fought these fights in his own hometown, you would think he would wash the opponent. He's in trouble in his own hometown. And it takes his whole hometown to have to yell and give him support for him to conjure up a win. This is how you know this guy's going to get washed, man.
This nigga was never that. And that goes to show you how you really got to take certain people who get certain accolades. You really got to take it with a grain of salt. You really got to examine who they beat to get the accolades. Because niggas be like, man, niggas undisputed. That don't always mean that nigga crazy like that. Who he beat? People just be now they random niggas just be undisputed.
Man, undisputed is like wiping your ass these days, man. It kind of, you know, and I hate to say it, but
backdoor deals. That's why they're not fighting nobody to get undisputed. Two of the belts.
The only undisputeds that I give credit to in today's genre of boxing is Devin Haney's, because Devin Haney proved something with that fight. Jamel Charlo, the challenge that Jamel Charlo had to go through, the adversities, you know, have spoken to it in the past because he was there at the Tony Harrison fight. The adversity he had to go through, that the challenges with that, his fights with Castano. You know, he's had two back-to-back performances that were, or two back-to-back running back fights that really excited boxing fans. Yeah, you didn't like the outcome of the first fight, but you like how he came and he stepped up to the second fight. Do we give a fuck about his attitude? Not so much. But as a fighter, man, you love to see a guy like that is entertainment. Plus, he got charisma, he got style, and he's a must-see fighter that not only fight fans want to see, but his style is contagious. And these types of guys, you could tell they earn undisputed. But Terence Crawford, come on, man. They should have given Danny Garcia undisputed, because the level of opposition that Danny Garcia fought at 140, to me, that was more undisputed than anything Terence Crawford did, man. I think it was basically an underbelly to make Terence Crawford undisputed when Danny Garcia fought better level competition at 140. The last time 140 was really, really exciting like that in recent time was when Danny Garcia fought. Because he was legitimately a real exciting 140 pounder. I've always said that about Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
He ain't shit as a 147 pounder, but man, when he was at 140, that dude was, I won't say he was special, but he was very fucking good.
He fought the better competition at 140, and then he left, vacated those belts, and pretty much Terence Crawford came and beat and won some vacated titles and shit.
Exactly.
And kind of undisputed. You know what I'm saying? He didn't beat he ain't beat no reigning champions for that shit. You know what I mean? Then once he got it, he didn't even sit there and reign. He left. You know what I mean? He didn't want to fight with other little niggas that was coming right behind him.
Yeah, could you imagine if he would have fought, the Regis Prograis of the world at that time, where Regis Prograis was younger and more sharper? If he would have fought, what's that dude's name? Sergio Martinez. Am I saying his name right? Martinez, whatever the
Not
fuck his name
Martinez,
is.
Sergio Martinez.
Not Sergio Martinez. That Mexican dude, the dude that was in that they kind of had their version of
Super Six.
the Super Six just recently.
Ramirez.
A Ramirez, there you go. Fucking
Yeah,
Ramirez, Maurice Hooker, and
right.
who's the one that became undisputed? The white boy,
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor.
The crazy
If he
thing
would
is,
have fought, if he would have stayed around and fought those guys, I think we would have really seen Terence Crawford tested at that time.
and that's the thing. That's what he was supposed to do. Terence, he don't never want to test himself. That's the thing. He don't never want to test. He like the black Canelo, man. He want all easy touches, man, or rig fights.
Because you know what? If he would have stayed around and fought those guys and then and defend his undisputed at least 2 or 3 times, he would have had something there that would have given him a little bit more staying power than him just being undisputed and leaving. Like it wouldn't make sense. It's like Devin Haney. If Devin Haney leaves now, then yeah, you beat Cambosos, but then what? But he's staying. You know, it's one thing to be what you are. It's another thing to leave. The reason why Earl Spence can leave is because of everything Earl Spence did before
Right.
Terence Crawford.
He
So
beat
he
all
really
champions.
cleaned everything out. So there's nothing else to prove.
Right, he beat all champions
Exactly.
for his shit. That's
So
what he did.
so if you do that, right, and you clean everybody out and then you go undisputed, that's a different thing than you becoming undisputed. And then we know there are fighters that you could prove yourself against, but you don't prove yourself against those fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing with Terence Crawford. His career, when you look at it and you poke the holes of it, there's just a lot of opposition that wasn't even marginal opponents. I mean, these were bottom feeders that you could tell that Bob Arum so much was lazy with Terence Crawford. He just said, okay, I'm going to throw this guy for you to fight just to keep you busy and keep your name in the pot and keep you looking like you're good.
Right.
Like he didn't have a string of opponents that were on a Gamboa level or higher. Like after Gamboa, if he would have fought opponents that were higher and then higher and then higher and then higher, one, Terence Crawford would have been exposed. Two, we would have seen that he would have finally lost. And three, let's say he would have got past those opponents. Then we would have seen something that said, okay, this guy, every time he's put in adverse fire, he comes out winning. So what if he gets beat up a little bit? So what if he gets bruised a little bit? As long as he was getting the W, we would have had something there to say, okay, this guy's tough.
Right.
But after he fought Gamboa, the competition level went down. And I don't mean it just went down. It went completely down. Because don't tell me a Juan Molina is on the same level of a Gamboa. I don't want to hear that shit.
But the reason why I went down is because this what Bob Arum's going to do. I'm going to say this, I'm going to be done with it. Bob Arum was going to do like he do to everybody, man.
Mm-hmm.
He get the most he could get out of you. Then he finally make that one fight that's a real fight.
Exactly.
Like that one fight that's a real fucking fight. He finally make that one to where you don't have no advantages. You fight somebody that at the premier level, and you get your act like the same thing that happened with
because that's when Bob Arum wants to feed you to the lions, man. And that's
lions.
what he wanted to do. He was gonna, I'm telling you, man, this is why Terence Crawford, you're right when you say he's the black Canelo Alvarez, because he pulled a Canelo move. I know there was a conversation that happened between Bob Arum and him, and Bob Arum was like, yo, listen, man, things are going favorably between me and Al Hayman, and it looks like I'm just gonna go ahead and sign this thing so that you can go ahead and fight Spence. And Terence Crawford did not like what Bob Arum was saying at that time. And then he just publicly went out and just went against him, man. I'm telling you, I believe that's what happened.
Right, because you got to think about it. Everybody in the boxing industry know that you only go to top rank. That's your last resort to be a professional fighter. You don't just go to top rank, man.
Yep.
When Crawford was being talked to by Al Hayman. He turned him down to go to top rank. So you knew this shit was going to happen because it's been happening. But
Yep.
you look at anyway because your Chihuahua barking behind the fence like this nigga that he knows be saying. And now what Bob Aaron did, you saw Bob Aaron was getting ready to open that fence up.
Yep.
And he said, I'm out of here.
Yep. Because Bob Arum want to get paid. Bob Arum's like, okay, I got a disgruntled fighter. He's clearly mad at me. So screw him. I could see Bob Arum in his mind. Okay, screw him. You know what? I didn't want the 40%, but this 40% is looking very attractive right now because I'm actually losing money off of this dude. So let me open the thing is Terence Crawford would have got a better deal with Top Rank with 40% than he has by himself with this 35%. If we're being honest here.
Yeah.
Because now he went and negotiated off himself. And Al Hayman just basically treated him like, you know how you have a defendant that comes in the courtroom and the defendant doesn't have an attorney? And especially if that defendant is not savvy on legalities and the law and they don't have no basically being a lawyer background, the judge is going to treat them like they are a person that's just coming off the street. Well,
Right.
that's what Al Hayman was doing with Terence Crawford. You don't have nobody that's been around that could speak for you. You're just a boxer coming in demanding this and no. This is what your value is. So he let him do all that talking to just say, look, no. This is what we're gonna give you. Take it or leave it. And the reason why we could confidently say this is because one, this is your biggest payday. Two, we know we're giving you the most money you've ever had in your boxing career. And three, we're giving you some incentives here that you never had before. So with that being said, and with Terence Crawford knowing that, we know what end up ultimately happening with the fight. So the bottom line is Terence Crawford could say whatever the fuck he want to say. He could run his mouth however he wants to run his mouth. The biggest deal is Terence Crawford is in a position where Terence Crawford has no choice but to accept the terms.
Right.
And the terms end up screwing him because not only is it 35%, I'm going to tell you right now, if Crawford keeps stalling, he's really going to see Al Hayman act up on him. Because not only did Al Hayman do 35% and no guarantees, Al Hayman made it turn around and just basically say, you know what? Since you want to delay this, you were losing money because every time, and this is what people don't understand about these types of fights or whatever. Do you know that Las Vegas held that date for November 19th?
Right.
And then come to find out that Terence Crawford came out and said the shit that he said. Do you know that Al Hayman could basically tell Terence Crawford, I can lower you 5% to try to recoup some of that money back that he lost? Because he has to pay, the venue for the venue holding that date. Because when the venue holds that date, they're losing out on all of the other events they could have booked and all of the other things that they could have had on that particular day. That's money they're losing. So Terence Crawford want to play games. Al Hayman will really show his ass against him. So if I'm Bud, stop playing around, accept whatever you need to accept, and just, I don't know what you need to do. I don't know what type of preparation you need to do to prepare yourself for this beating. I don't know who you're gonna need to talk it out to, what therapists you need to go to in Omaha. I don't know what shit you need to do, but I'm gonna tell you right now, man, you're gonna need to do these things because this is your last fight.
Right.
Because Spence has a mission. Spence knows exactly what he's gonna do, and Spence knows that this fight right here, although it's not his best fight at 147, it's his signature fight at 147. It's the fight that's gonna give him that undisputed tag, and he's looking forward to that shit, man.
Very looking forward. So you're gonna see the best Spence of his career in this fight, and that is that'd be a lot of trouble, man. Especially a lot of trouble for a nigga like Bud, who, let's be honest, he's not the best boxer. He get touched up by everybody, and he's
Yep.
not really that big.
And I like how Spence is so lean, man. How he's just been staying so lean since the Danny Garcia fight, man. Even before then, when he was doing that training, that dude's been staying so lean. Though. That's how I know these camps are just camps for Spence to just wash you, man.
Right, it's gonna be bad for him. It's gonna be real bad for
Spence goes into these training camps. This is how you know Spence is on a mission. Spence goes into these training camps, and in 2 weeks he already walking around with an 8 pack, man.
Right,
I'll be watching these training camps. I'll be like, damn, dog. I
right.
said, whoever he's fighting, they about to get fucked up.
The only part I hate about when Spence started getting in shape, because
Mhm.
it's always boxing ego with the body watchers, man.
Oh, here we go.
He be sound like he be sound like he want to get to know these boxers in an intimate way. He like, man, look at that bod, man. I'm like, this nigga, that's not how you supposed to just talk about a boxer, but like, you know, man, looking good, man. He back in shape. But I was like,
Yeah.
damn, beautiful, man. Just look at the ripples. You look at the ripples of his. I'm like, this dude, he low key suspect, gotta be.
Yeah, man, boxing homo. That's why you never seen him with no chicks. Come on, man.
Yeah, he low
You
key.
know, my dad always told me that, man. If you see a man of a certain age and you never see him with any women, that motherfucker is a flaming faggot, man. My dad said that in Creole, man.
What?
Like, because there's a member in our family that we kind of questioned that dude. We was like, we haven't. I remember I was making a comment. I was like, yo, I've never seen you with a woman. And my dad just, because that's my father. I get that from him, man. He'll say what nobody's willing to say. He said it. He didn't give a shit. He
Yeah,
said, man, when you see a guy is this kind of age and you don't see him bring no woman around, he
yeah,
did that. You know that old person thing old people do like that.
yeah.
And he said, man, listen, man, that's just flaming faggot behavior right there, man. I know my video is gonna get a limited because I used the word. So what? I just had to
Right,
say it,
right.
but it's the truth. I've
Yeah,
never seen this dude with a chick, never. And he's always doing things where he's zooming in on guys' body parts and shit like that. It's very disturbing. Once I saw one of those segments, I said, okay, I already know how this guy rolls. I wouldn't be surprised if they were all blowing each other's backs out when they was having those LDBC events and shit, man. And he was probably the ringleader. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, man.
that shit crazy. I'm like, what?
They're all hugging up on each other, touching each other, and I mean, come on, man, come on, like, dude. I remember there was one video where I saw Dante's Boxing Nation look very uncomfortable because he was doing this picture where he was hugging him, and you could tell Dante looked like he wanted to push him.
Like, get the fuck off me.
Get the fuck off of me.
What the fuck
And
is
this
you
dude,
doing?
when he was doing his lives, he was looking, Ox's terminology, he was looking extra moist. He had the moist hair
Mm-hmm.
and the extra and the way this guy, I mean, it's something about a man that takes you take like what they call that, Vaseline, and you put it all on your lips like you a woman or something like that. You
Right.
doing a live stream. Why are you making yourself look like that? For dudes that's watching you, man. I just knew everything about this dude. The demeanor and everything was very disturbing. So when you say the Weight Watchers, it's not Weight Watchers, man. That's homo watching right there, man. The
Yeah,
dude is
yeah.
sitting there watching these boxers and talking about the V taper. That shit women talk about, man.
Right.
When a woman wants to take your underwear off, she's like, look at that V taper. Like
Right. Right. That shit
that's
crazy.
not shit dudes should be talking about, man.
Right. That shit crazy because that's it crazy because you know what I'm saying. You don't do that for like volley. Like that's something a nigga supposed to do for like girls be playing volleyball be thick as hell. The girls who play softball be thick as hell. That'd be something
Yeah.
if you did. He's like man, while we at it, look at this girl curve. Like you
Yep.
like you not you doing that for men.
Yep.
It's one thing to say, dude looking good, he back in shape, blase, blase. He's taking this fight serious. It's another thing to say, man. Did you see the small of his back? The muscles, the small
Yeah.
of his back.
Yeah.
Woo! And then be
It
like,
was very disturbing. I don't know why you know how when you play a video when you accidentally play a video on YouTube and then it goes longer than you want to, and you trying to
Yeah.
get you trying to get it off. If one day I tried to get the video off my phone, but my phone just stalled. It like you know how
Yeah.
your phone just crashes. My phone crashed, and I'm listening to this motherfucker talk about Deontay Wilder, and this was recent. I think this was his last fight against Tyson Fury, and he said, "Do you see Deontay Wilder? He looks like a king. The muscles on this kid." I was like, what the fuck? And it was embarrassing because I
Yeah.
was at the gym. I was at the
Yeah.
gym trying to work out, and motherfuckers think I'm listening to this shit. And motherfuckers looking
Wait,
at me weird.
wait. You was crazy. You was crazy to hear him trying to cut that shit off, but it was too late.
Yeah. I had a few chicks. I had a few chicks looking at me like, what the like I thought he was like looking at me weird. Like
Yeah.
and it's because it wasn't me, it was the dude. His video was playing. Here I am trying to keep skipping up, and the shit was locked. So I had to turn
Right.
off my phone, man.
Right.
And that shit went on like 2 minutes, man. It was embarrassing, man. Even I was
Right.
embarrassed. And I don't get easily embarrassed, but I was embarrassed. I was like, what the fuck is this dude
Right.
talking about?
Cause man, he swayed on homo, man. You probably won't go all the way there, but he be thinking about it because you got look how he do. He take he takes entirely too much time to talk about the shapes the boxes are in. Like
Yep.
he make that to a whole series.
Yep.
Whenever there's a fight, he make like every week he make a video about that shit.
But you know what's sad? It's not him. What's sad is all of the people listening to this. I
Right,
think to myself,
right. It's at least
what
1,000
what
niggas in
what
there.
kind of nigga would sit here and listen to this type of shit, man?
There be like 1,000 niggas in there too in his chat. At some point, y'all didn't feel uncomfortable. Every time he
And in
starts,
the comment section going, yeah, man, yeah, you see, he got that juicy ape.
like, what the fuck? every time, every, every time he start talking like that, I always get off his live.
and you know what? Hey, I gotta be grimy with this. Some of the niggas in this comment section is probably some of those niggas that be on that live.
Probably, and don't be calling him out. When somebody says she was suspect on live, man, you gotta call them niggas out, man.
Shit.
Motherfuckers like, man, do you see the abs on? And he can go crazy on Floyd. Like, Floyd, you see how deep Floyd abs dig? See how
Oh
deep they
boy.
go? I'm like, man,
No.
this nigga tweaking. Oh,
Man,
shit.
I was so that was the first time I was like, man, and that was happening to me. I don't sweat in front of people or nothing like that. But when that shit was happening, my phone was freezing. I started sweating because I couldn't believe what the fuck I was hearing, man.
Right.
And it was making me feel uncomfortable. So I was already feeling uncomfortable. So I could imagine everybody else. And there was one of the chicks, she said it, she was like, so many weeks later, she was like, what were you listening to? I had to when I explained it to her, she was like, oh, okay. I know you wasn't like that. I was like, yeah. I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Never listened to no fuck shit like this.
What?
But my phone just froze. She's like, oh, that's why you kept trying to. She said, I saw you was like, it looked like you was having a field day with your phone. I was like, yeah, I was trying to get rid of that shit. Because that's how it be. Sometimes on YouTube, videos just pop up and they randomly. I don't know how YouTube made it like that. I guess they do that so that the person could get a view, or YouTube can get you to watch the video even though you're not trying to watch it. And then the video just started playing, and I'm listening to this guy. It's like he was worshiping the ground that Deontay Wilder was on. That shit was disturbing to me, man. I was like, what the fuck am I listening to?
But yeah, it got to the point where he only be able to catch me one time when it comes to Deontay Wilder. I don't even watch his videos because it's too much. It's too much for me. It's like the other ones, I'm like, okay, but when it comes to Deontay Wilder, he go crazy.
That's
like,
bad,
see
man.
how solid that V is. Then you zoom in on the V. I'm like, this say you know what I mean? This ain't what it is, nigga. You woke this nigga, nigga. I had to hurry up and cut that shit off, man. I'm like, no, I ain't listening to this shit, man. Yeah, but man, this live was crazy though, man.
Yeah, the live was good, man. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Hey, if there's any last minute folks that want to donate to motivate, we appreciate it, man. Like Cash App, the Venmos are up, super chats are welcome. We would appreciate it. It's been a while since I've been live. I know Ross has been live on his channel, talking about a million and one things.
Right.
But I have been active in the community post, so I implore you guys to check out the community post. We both are very active with that, and we're still giving out our opinions. We hope to go live more often in the future. Not trying to make no promises to anybody, but when you see us live, you'll see us live. Obviously, it was necessary for us to say what we had to say on this topic because there's just a lot of people that's not being authentic and they're not being direct. That's the problem in these boxing streets. You have a lot of people, they know they want to say something, but they just don't want to be direct about it. If you're a Spence fan, be direct about your Spence fanship. If you're a Bud fan, be direct about your Bud fanship. Let me tell you something. I could care less about Bud, but I like genuine Bud Man fans. The reason why I like them is because they genuinely believe in Terence Crawford. Even though they're believing in bullshit, they're genuinely believing in him. And I could respect that. What I
Mm-hmm.
don't respect is fence straddling fans that
Right.
think that this fight is 50-50, and it's not. There's nothing 50-50 about this fight.
Right.
Or fans that sit here and say good things about Earl Spence, good things about Terence Crawford, like they want to go on both sides. Then it's not even a fence straddling, it's more of a, I'm hedging my bet both ways. I
Mm-hmm.
can't respect that, man, because I know you're just doing that to set yourself up either way. You got to make this is one of those fights when you're dealing in boxing with super fight of the ages, when you're dealing with fights where everybody wants to see it, you got to make a pick. And you got to double down on that pick and lay on that bad boy with confidence and fortitude. You can't
Right.
sit there and say, I'm going for this guy and then I'm going for that guy, or I'm rooting for this guy and I'm rooting for that guy. No, you got to root for the person that you're rooting for and you got to ride with them. Thank you, OG Flash, for the super chat. We appreciate it. He said, man, entertaining and straight game. I'm a Spence fan. Am I biased towards Earl Spence? Yes. But when
Mm-hmm.
it's a quality opponent, I give that opponent respect. When he fought Kell Brook, I gave Kell Brook all the respect in the world because I knew it
Right.
was going to be a hard ass fucking fight for Spence. When he fought your Dennis Ugas, if you guys notice, I showed you Dennis Ugas respect, man. That was probably one of the most respectful takes I've had against an Earl Spence opponent because I knew you Dennis Ugas deserved that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything that tells me that Terence Crawford deserves that same level of respect. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, to me, Earl Spence already fought undisputed 2 times over with Kell Brook and you Dennis Ugas. So to me, this is not an undisputed fight. This is just a fight for him to get that title. That's the way that I look at it. So I'm saying all of this to say, pick a winner, stick with the winner. Don't be doing all this back and forth, and don't just jump on other channels because other people are saying opinions and it's making you sway. And if you feeling that you're feeling swayed or you're feeling weak in your opinions on how you think, you could come to my channel. You can go to Ross's channel. You can go to Ox's channel, and we'll straighten you guys out, man, and we'll get your mind right on how
Right.
you need to see things. If you are a true Bud Man fan, be that. We'll respect you for it. We'll laugh at your ass, but we'll respect you for that. And if you are Earl Spence fan, don't sit here one day and say, man, Earl Spence gonna beat up Bud, and then the next day, man, I don't know what Spence looking like. I don't
Right.
know the car crash. I don't know. Yeah, then that means you're not a Spence fan. And don't be sitting here saying Bud got better skills. Real Spence fans know Bud ain't got no better fucking skills than him. It was just like when Marvin Hagler fought Tommy Hitman Hearns. The real Marvin Hagler fans knew that none of that shit that they was talking about with Tommy Hitman Hearns, with him being better skilled and all of that, none of that applied in the fight versus Marvin Hagler. They knew Marvin Hagler was more technically and fundamentally sound, and they knew Marvin Hagler was going to get him out of there. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying be absolute and resolute on your pick and just double down on it. And the last thing is this: stop kissing Terence Crawford's ass and stop apologizing for him. Y'all boxing fans need to demand this motherfucker to sign that contract and demand him to come to the fight. Because the reason why Terence Crawford got the legs to do all of this chihuahua barking that he's doing is because he has a lot of fans and a lot of people that are supporting his nonsense. You guys are delaying the fight. When you guys don't tell Bud, hey man, cut the bullshit out. We just want to see you in the ring. Because when fight fans do this and they tell the fighter, hey, cut this crap out. We want to see you in the ring.
Right.
That person don't have legs no more to stand on to have you guys supporting him so he could keep talking. Y'all need to get Bud to be caught in a corner to where he got nowhere to run and nowhere to hide and to just sign that contract and step into the fight. This is the only thing that's holding this shit up. Y'all start doing that, this fight is actually going to happen. It's going to grow into fruition because I do believe this fight could still happen this year. But it's going to take you guys to stop doing this. Well, you know, Earl stopped ducking. How's Earl stopped ducking when Earl signed the shit months ago, man?
Right. What's the name?
This shit don't make sense. He was on ES News saying, I've already signed the contract. And I've never known Earl Spence to be a guy that says one thing when it comes to boxing and it comes to be another. If he said it from I don't know him personally. I'm talking from a boxing standpoint. From a boxing standpoint, if that motherfucker say some shit, it always comes to fruition. So if he is that type of individual, then y'all gotta respect him at face value and demand Terence Crawford to accept. You already accept 35%. And if your weak ass excuse is, oh, because I can't get family at the event, come on, man. That's bullshit.
Right. Stop
That's
it.
bullshit.
Stop
and that's
it.
all I gotta say with that, man. Anything else you want to say, bro?
Nah, that's all I gotta say, bro.
All right, man. It's been a great live. We appreciate everyone that tuned in, everyone that donated to motivate. Again, any donations that could come in, Cash App, Super Chat, you name it, man. Anything you guys could give. You know what I'm saying? Venmo, we would really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone that participated, everyone that showed up and showed out. Ross has been real chopping it up with you. I know it's been a minute. And we'll see you guys when we get to this again. Peace.
Peace.